Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to a different episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. I'm your host, Mr. K.Asante, T-K-O-Asante, on all the places we communicate. I am, as you can see, not in my normal studio. I am also not using my normal mic, so forgive me if you hear any kind of cracking or noise or anything like that. I'm actually on location, as it were. I'm still in the Netherlands right now. I'll be actually flying back to Florida tomorrow, but we're going to get into all of that. And I, of course, am joined this week, and as usual, by my brother from another mother, the man who's out here taking his monologues and turning them into diss tracks, Mr. Everborn Saga. Good day, sir.
I wanted to put a Meet the Grams beat on it, but I felt like that was asking too much.
Yeah. How you doing, bro? How's things?
I'm all right. I'm good. My studio lights got commandeered by the family. And I haven't gotten them back yet. So the lighting is a little, but we're getting there.
Okay.
Oh, listen, I need to be very annoying.
Okay,
and I'm going to be annoying about this for the next 6 weeks or so. I see so far we got about 50-something people watching us. That number should go up.
Mm-hmm.
I am getting a new Kickstarter ready. And so...
people go wish list that right now.
Right.
Go watch
this
that.
This is just a watch page. We'll get to whether you feel like you should support it later. But if you could... For me, I'm asking you a personal favor. I'm looking in the camera now. Could you please sign up for the watch list so you'll get notified when it goes live? That just helps the algorithm. It's like hitting like on this video. Hit like. It's on
basically
this
video. It's like wish listing a game. You know, it helps things out. Yes,
it helps the algorithm, God. So for me, please. Sign up for that. I put the link in the chat. Yeah. Again, it's in all the chats. And we'll talk about it later, but we got some good stuff going on. So I just wanted to get the thing started with that. I'll probably say it a few times during the show as some more people file in. But please sign up to be notified, because what we want to do is we have a streak now. We're 2 for 2. We are funded in the first 24 hours, and we've been chosen as projects we love. And part of that is all the signups to get notified when we go live. So check that link out if you can. Ariel's
absolutely
too. Anyway, let's get going.
So yeah, first and foremost, Mr. Lucius, I resemble that remark, sir. This is not a fictitious African country. This is an actual African country. Calm down, sir. Welcome. How you doing? But yes, welcome one and all. It's been a minute. I know we didn't get a GCP in last week because I was traveling, and I'm kind of still traveling. But yes, here we are. What's up?
Kay, I think there's some news that you may want to break to the people. So now that your role has concluded on the Halo series as Captain Keyes, word on the street is you will be, in fact, the new T'Challa for the MCU.
Y'all need to calm the hell down right now.
This is what the streets are saying.
No, y'all need to calm the hell right down right now. Yes, just because I choose to be in my traditional garb, now all of a sudden I'm getting compared to fictitious fake characters. I'm a real person, damn it, and I'm from a real place, so calm down.
Right.
But yes,
all the more reason to cast you in that part. But hey,
yeah, hey, I can do the accent and it won't be fake. You know, it's going to be what it is. You know, yes. Anyway, so we're gonna have a more concise show this week because I have many miles to go before I sleep. I'm literally getting up and heading back to the States at like 6 a.m. in the morning. I gotta go see my brother. I got a lot of goodbyes to still do before I leave. So we're thinking.
Game Logic says you should replace Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Now you know what? You give me that Disney bag and we'll talk about him. You know what I'm saying? It's fine.
Just don't let any white women chase you down the streets of Manhattan. But
you'll be fine. Come on now. Okay. I'm a married man, son. Calm down.
All right. Exactly. You're perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. So welcome one and all. I see folks are filing it already. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't done so. We appreciate y'all being here. So this is going to be a more focused show this week. as I said at the top, I have left a Gamescom, although Gamescom is still going down. I was lucky enough to get in early,
you left
so I was
Gamescom,
able to.
But Gamescom hasn't left you.
It has definitely no. It absolutely has not left me. There's still a lot of great ideas and like there's just so much still in my mind. A sea of things going on right now. But yes, what that does mean though is because and the adage is mostly true. When you go to these things, you end up missing most of it, right? If you're sitting on your couch, you're sitting at home, you end up catching all the real intricate details and all the news and stuff. So I may be missing some things. So I will rely on you, Mr. Everborn Saga, and our audience to fill me in on anything that I may potentially have missed. But there's one bit of focused conversation I want to get to, because yeah, man, you sparked something on that on that diss track of yours. And actually, it's funny. It's funny because although I heard that later, before I even heard that, like right after, so I'll give you like the events and how they happened for me, right? So I was lucky enough to get into an early screening of Indiana Jones and Starfield, right? But of course, when I got here on a Tuesday. Tuesday night was opening night live, so I was able to be in the room with opening night live when Keeley went. And there's one more thing, right? We all knew what was coming, right? But of course, they made it official. And then I came to the hotel room, heard my brothers on the Discord, right? Heard everything that was then discussed. And then of course, and before I continue, shout out to my baby. I'll be home tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll be home tomorrow. My wife is in the chat. Anyway, so after that
means everybody in here be on your best behavior, show some respect. We got
you better show some damn respect. That's right. That's right. And speaking of queens, salute to Holly. What's going on? Good to see you. Ooh, no, that was the Septic one I put up there. What's going on, Septic? I see you too. Good day. I hope y'all doing well. So needless to say, I went opening live, saw what I saw. We all saw that news, right? And then the very next day, we got a little bit of a deep dive, right? So right after both of those things, yes.
Let me ask you a question. In the deep dive, were they using a PlayStation controller? That is a legitimate question these days. That's not like.
We're gonna get into all those details. We're getting into the slanderous details. This deep dive was more a presentation on a screen, on a screen. Lots of journalists and badge holders in there. I felt quite privileged to be there. I'd never been in the room. This was the first time that I was actually in the room like that. And Phil came out and Sarah came out and they spoke about it. But I guess what I'm saying is, with the news that came out the day before, and then all the conversation that happened on Discord, and then me hearing what they had, seeing that deep dive and seeing their presence at at Gamescom, it led me to write something. And basically what I wrote is kind of an adjacent piece to what you were saying. So I say all that to say, cheap plug, go check out thegamingcircle.com. I've already put a few things up there. There's going to be a lot more up there. A lot of writing, a lot of thoughts from myself will be put there. In addition to this very channel, where I wasn't allowed to record a lot of footage because a lot of these things are the back room, kind of stuff. So I can only just ask questions, get answers, and then write my own stuff later. But there are a few occasions where I was able to get folks on record, record a few things. So those will also be put on the channel soon enough. But I guess it'll bring about an interesting conversation, because I heard what you said on Boom Show, and of course it's been remixed like the Ether diss track that it is, But
I don't think it was a diss track, to be honest. This was
I don't think so either.
Talking to the 20-year veterans, the hardcore fans that have stuck with the brand, and it's just we have to look at reality. That's all it was.
I don't disagree. And I also wrote an adjacent piece that kind of spoke to somewhat that similar energy. It's just, I feel like people, and we'll get into that whole thing. We will get into all that. But yes, it's been a whirlwind for a little bit, for me anyway. But I appreciate all the folks that are in here. I see 115 people between the Twitters and the YouTubes already in here, and of course the great Joanna Dark is already here with a 7-month membership, a super chat, and he says, "Welcome back, gents. K.Asante, why are you teasing Zao 2 Tales of Asante? Also, don't let the Ragoons know that the X1 is more than just gaming." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we'll talk about that one too for a little bit, because the X1 has been doing me righteous, while I've been on the go. It's my device that I've been using for gaming. I've actually wrote some articles on it as well. It's been doing me pretty well. But yes, before we get this thing started, I do want to pivot to you real quick and ask you if there are any games you've been playing, because I won't be able to tell you all the games that I got my hands on with, and there'll be some that will come out. But I will. But what I want to do,
Insider. He can't tell us all the games he's tried out. Okay.
No,
I see you.
There's a lot in my head right now. I have to write it down. But I will tell you one of the great indies that I found, and one of the great AAAs that I played. Those are the two I'll talk about. But before I get there, sir, what has been keeping you busy?
Okay, 2 games have been keeping me busy. The first is obviously Soldiers. That's my thing I've been playing. I'm up to the final boss, but I kind of got a little stuck, so I had to put it down for a little bit, which is convenient because the day that I got to the final boss happened to be the day that Black Myth Wukong came out. And so I died just one too many times, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna put you on hold for a little bit and check out this new thing. So Soldiers, again, if it came out this year, I would call it my game of the year. Okay. But since it hasn't, it is the 2022 game of the year. That being said, Black Myth Wukong, playing it on the 4090 connected to the OLED, and this is also important, I'm also playing it on the ROG Ally X. Okay. 25 watts.
I was about to say I don't. We don't usually speak speeds and feeds, but how is it running on your X?
Very smoothly.
Okay.
But
okay.
I wouldn't say
you have a rough idea of.
No, I know the settings. I didn't look at the settings, but I wasn't getting the choppiness that I was getting on the 4090. Although I think that is just because on the 4090 I'm running like very high ray tracing with everything, all the settings on ultra. So, and even then, I don't think it's the 4090. I just think it's the game and Unreal with their kind of stutter that they have, and then I don't know if it's shader compilation stutter or whatever it is, but I don't think it's anything to do with. I know the game is like a hog in terms of resources, but on the ROG Ally, I put it on performance mode, which is 25 watts unplugged, just because I wanted to see what I was doing. And then I put frame gen on FSR, and everything is on low settings.
Okay, and how's it running?
And I would also like to say those are the default settings when you just run it on the ROG Ally.
It has a detect my hardware thing that runs the first time you start it.
What I appreciate about that is that not every game does that. If I start something on the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck and then I run it on the big PC, it'll just have those low settings from wherever I ran it first.
Yes.
But to Wukong's
some games
credit, it doesn't do that.
Yes.
So the it's a 14900K game logic. And I should also know the game would not boot at first. It kept saying running out of memory, and that is because I had to update my firmware, my motherboard firmware, which had the Intel driver for it. So once I did that error went away and the game was able to run properly. But before I did that, the game wouldn't start. Every time it was loading the shaders in the beginning, it would say out of memory, which made no sense because there's 64 gigs of DDR whatever, and the video card has 24 gigs of memory. So but it was just because I had to update my MSI firmware, which came with the Intel bug fix. What
Okay.
is that bug fix? Do they downclock the CPU?
Yeah,
Or?
they're like, the last I read it, and this was some time ago. They're like parking some of the e-cores and doing some things like that in order for it not to, because the e-cores are by default are used when you try to use them, and some games like it, and other games just completely hate it. So like I have actually manually parked some e-cores to get my games running. Like I think Ghost of Tsushima wasn't running right until I did that on my Intel based system. So I think the bug fix is parking e-cores. I can give you some further details after I do some more reading into it.
You
That's what I
can,
did.
but I probably won't care.
There you go. It's working.
I do
now.
want to give a shout out to Slow-Mo
Mhm.
because I was getting ready to go off on that game, and he was like, "Just update
Okay.
your
Okay.
BIOS."
Yep.
But as the PC haters say, see drivers, right? But that being said, it did pick up exactly where I left off on the ROG Ally. It auto detected the settings, so I didn't have to change anything. I'm telling you the settings, but that's just what I got. I didn't change anything. I didn't try to see if I could run it on medium or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever
I actually ended up running it on medium with medium ray tracing on this guy. And it runs still 60, 65. It's pretty well optimized.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. I put the resolution down to 45%.
Okay.
Other than that, like, really didn't make any changes. Just took the auto stuff. My point is the idea that I can play it on the 4090 and then come to the ROG Ally and still play it there is just fantastic. We're going to talk about that later because that ecosystem with Steam, I really don't think some of the console guys understand. I was one of them that didn't understand. But I really think a lot of them don't understand the ease of use and those ecosystem benefits that you get.
I don't.
But we'll talk about that.
Real quick, let me catch up on some of these messages.
Also, last thing, I am stuck on the first boss, that white wolf boss in Wukong.
Oh, okay. I thought the one with the bald head, one roaming the land. Anyway, we'll get there.
The big head guy. I went around him.
Oh, you didn't even bother. Understood. So shout out to the great John Wolf, member for 7 months. Thank you, brother. He says, shout out to K.Asante and AMD, Everborn Saga. Sir, shout out to you. It's been a while since we've done the show. I can't wait to do the show with you. I can't promise it'll be Monday night, depending on how the whole moving and shaking of traveling comes, but hopefully I'll be able to do it Monday night. Looking forward to chatting with you again, sir. It's been a minute. I hope all is well. Now, Dr. Dry Rub asks an interesting question, and he, of course, has the greatest name in our chat most of the time. He says, anyone else feel Black Myth is boring AF? I've been playing it on my Ally X, my Ally X1, and struggling to stay invested. How are you feeling about it, sir?
That's interesting. I can both see why someone would not be interested in it, and also why someone could get hyper invested, right?
Okay.
So the game is not as challenging as Elden Ring, but it is very challenging to the point where you could get frustrated if you don't do what the game's asking of you. But the game also does not have the rich world to keep you occupied when you get stuck in a location, right? So if you die, you can keep fighting the same small enemies to kind of level yourself up, but it's not the same thing as exploring and going to a whole new world. So if the combat is not gelling with you from the beginning, I could absolutely
the world isn't
see
helping
why.
you. Yeah,
right. The world and the lore helped you in Elden Ring for you to not get stuck in a place.
I'd say the world, not the lore necessarily on Elden.
Well, no, because Everborn. Elden Ring is all lore and not a lot of story.
And not story. Yes, I get that.
And it's like the world tells that lore, delivers that lore in the form of a story to you. So, again, I totally could see both. I have not fallen in one direction or another, but I can't, like, if I'm stuck on that first boss too long, I might feel the same way he does.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, and we'll talk about my experiences with it as well, because I've dabbled. I can't say I've played enough to make an actual determination yet, but I have dabbled a little bit in it. Dave Ramos, the great Dave Ramos, he says, "Hola and happy Saturday morning, folks," with a $2 super chat. Happy Saturday morning to you. Here it is 4 p.m. It is almost evening time. It's a very weird thing doing GCP at 4 o'clock in the evening. But yes, salute to everybody who's there in the morning time. Thank you for being here. Now, okay.
Hey, before you continue, one thing. I'm seeing people say, RMA for the Intel chip. So I should also note that this is the only time that has happened, right? So I've played a bunch of AAA games on it, and it's only with this game. So every other game that I've loaded and run that has not happened, and when I did the BIOS update, it went away. So I don't know if that still means that there's a degradation or whatever. But just I wanted to give people that other piece of context. But go ahead.
No. I agree with you. I also have had issues with on a rarity, but when I go into the BIOS, I made my own modifications, and it's been fine, like running righteous ever since. Yes, RMA is available because they've already promised that they'll take care of everybody who has any of those issues. But if I'm not having those issues, I'm not gonna rip my PC apart to go RMA it just because I can. You know what I mean? So
honestly, what I think I'm gonna do is when the next like 15900, provided the reviews are okay and this issue doesn't continue, I'm probably gonna replace it just because.
If they allow the same SoC though, if they allow
motherboard, right?
The more because AMD will keep the same connection forever and a day. Intel will switch up on you, make you buy.
I don't think Intel can do that now. I think the 15900 is gonna be a fixed version of the 14900.
I hope so. Because I have the same chipset you have. If I can upgrade the chip, I will do that. But okay, so let's get into some games I've been playing real quick. I will also tell you when I heard that Wukong was released, it was actually the day I had gotten here, and I was like, you know what, I really won't have enough time to put into its paces, but I installed it on the One X anyway, and it runs pretty great. Medium settings. Yeah, we're doing the handheld thing. Yeah, that's what it is. Medium settings, runs pretty righteous. I haven't had enough time to really put it through its paces yet. I enjoyed what I played at the beginning of it, and I know, and no spoilers, but I relatively know the story because it's basically the story of the Monkey King. Journey to the West, right? If you've been in any kind of culture, paid attention to any kind of the cultural entertainment, you'll see the touch points all over the place. The minute the game starts, the man is Gokuing all over the place on the flying Nimbus. It is what it is. Like, that's just what happens because they take reference points from this story a lot, right? So give me a week, give me 2 weeks. I'll have a chance to play it a bit more and give you my take on how I feel about it. I have taken care of some of the fodder. It's cool. The weapon agency seems nice. We'll see how it goes. I will say though, and this brings me to one of the 2 games that I've been playing that I played at Gamescom that I feel like might have given it some competition in my book. Okay, as you know, I enjoy the indies, right? I'm out there trying to find the indie fair. I'm trying to find that 1, 2, 3, 5 development man team, because that's where I feel like that's where it's special in my humble opinion. But if I'm lucky enough to get my hands on something that's a bit more substantive, something that people are excited about, something that's known, that has a big backing, I will gladly take that as well. I enjoy that. I enjoy playing those games as well. With that, I was lucky enough to get my hands some playtime with Phantom Blade Zero.
Tell me about this. So before you say this, I have felt when I first saw it, I was like, this is vaporware. This is never coming out. I want you to disabuse me of that notion.
Sir, as a man who is not a huge fan, I'm not, as you know, I'm not a big fan of the Soulsborns and all. I am not that guy. I never have been. I'm not a big Soulsborne. Gotta go find the flasks and all of this. That's not me, right? My problem with Souls-like games has always been, not only do you hand me like really difficult foes, you then make me contend with the difficulty with which your game systems run, right? Oh, he's lumbering. Oh, you have only two drinks of your flask and then you're done. Oh, whenever you roll, it's a lumbering guy, and you have to deal with all of that in addition to the difficult foes that you're contending with. And that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I feel like if you're gonna make my foes formidable, you gotta make me formidable as well. And I gotta tell you, as a guy who does not like Soulsborne games, and this is not really a Soulsborne game necessarily, it's an action game. Oh man, this game has got me. It's got me, sir. Like, if there's gonna be a game that's probably gonna take me away, or is gonna tell me where I'm gonna say, I'm okay, but I'm not like super into what do you call it? What the hell you call it? Into the monkey game, well, I'll call it. It'll be this.
Black Myth.
Because it solves Black Myth, yeah. It solves the problem that I've had with these games for a long time. Yes, your bosses are formidable, but bro, you are one bad mother. He's not on the show today. I'm not going to continue. Like, seriously. Like, I sat down. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play this for a little bit, see how it goes. Yo, it is like, as long as you know how to, it's less Elden Ring, more Sekiro, right?
Okay.
Fast paced. You are formidable from jump. You don't have to grind to one day get to the level that you can. As long as you take in what they've taught you in the tutorial, you are one bad mofo, and you will tear mother effers into pieces. And every time you fail, because you will fail often, you know exactly where you failed, and you're like, oh, I got you. And the next time you traverse it, and then you fail again somewhere else. It is so good. Like, man, oh man, it's so good. I had the best, like this AAA game had me. Like, it had me. It is something else. Like, I got to meet Risky for the Biscuit, right? I got to meet Risky. We were there. I had to step in. We were playing Console Wars, which was also fun, like really fun, but hanging out with.
They had a booth there at Gamescom?
Yeah. They had a booth at Gamescom. Dope. Xbox era, it was all there. We got to see the great Nick. Yeah, I actually think I saw him in the chat a little bit ago. You know, y'all saw some pictures of us. We were there. So in a minute, while I was there, I was like, okay, I have to go and see and do this appointment. Got to go see Black Myth, right? It was cool. Riskit's like, well, you know that game doesn't exist, right? Why? Because it's a game that's not on Xbox, right? So I was like, okay, you know. And then I came back and I'm like, yo, that game that doesn't exist, boy, that game is hard. Like, it hits hard. Like, I am not a Soulsborne guy. I haven't even played Sekiro that much. I played it, I understood it, but I got to tell you, it's a special experience. It's quite good. I am looking forward to being a badass once again. Can't wait for this game to come out. As soon as I was done, I sent them messages like, please, let's do the review for this thing, because man, I want to play it again. It's still in my head right now. It's something else.
So who are the developers of this game?
What is it? What's the developer called again? Oh, and you put me on the spot. I may have to look it up real quick.
All right, where are they based?
Yeah. I think they're a Chinese developer.
So I think this is something interesting to talk about. Now, China is obviously, the region is huge in gaming, but on the West, we don't think about them because a lot of biggest games that they do. Obviously there's Tencent, which one of, if not the biggest, like sort of
They're called
there. But
S Game, and they are a Chinese developer.
Now, but
S-Game.
A lot of the developers that we think of when we think of that region are for like mobile games, right? We think of Genshin Impact, right? Or Yohoverse or wherever. But I think that Wukong is sort of like the coming out to the world that they have developers that can be the top of the top in terms of AAA fare that the West is
they're from Beijing.
Used to, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why Wukong is such an important game for that region. And we see the numbers that it's doing all over Steam, and like 80% of those numbers are from that region. So I'm very sure that they take a lot of like pride in that. And the idea that this, and if it's what you're saying, it is the follow up to that is just one more.
It's a 1-2 punch, bro. It's a 1-2 punch. And I mean, Black Myth is on high. Like, it is an amazing achievement. This, from a combat perspective, one-ups it, at least in my small playtime. A small, man, like, I was in it. I could not wait to continue playing. Of course, I had an appointment. I had a media badge. So the line was literally around the block. They were mean mugging the minute I got to jump in front of them. And I understand why the line was so long. Man, this game is amazing. It really is.
And it is coming to Steam on day one, correct?
It is coming to Steam. It's coming to, I think, Steam, Epic Game Store, and PlayStation right now. Yeah. Like,
okay.
This when you start this game, because again,
a joke I was gonna make, but Lon is in the chat. I know what he was gonna say.
When you start these games, the thing that always bothers me, and I know other people that are used to it aren't really have a problem with it. You have this huge monster, and you don't know how you're parrying and your timings and your parrying and your shield. You don't have all of that together. This game, I don't care how massive your sword is. Pause. Like, as long as I can do the evade, as long as I can block you, I'm coming at you with my moves, and more often than not, I will smoke you in like minutes. You know how most bosses have these huge long health bars, and it's just about whittling them down. No, you are just as capable as the baddest dude you could play. Like, so this boss here that you're looking at, that's where my playtime ended. He beat me one too many times, and I was this close to killing him too. And then the demo ended for me. But I was so excited to play it because it was just epic. Look at that. He could take your head off in one shot.
So what it sounds like what you're saying is you attended Gamescom as a journalist and you were playing on journalist mode.
Actually, this game, wow, he didn't do that to me. I'm just looking at it right now. He can literally put that thing in your head and take your head off. Anyway, this game starts with, there's a normal mode and a hard mode. And for the whole demo, for everybody that was playing it, you were on normal mode. And what normal mode would do is it would like, the fodder is fodder, but these dudes are no joke. They'll still kick your butt. The only thing that I noticed what the normal mode did for you was it made your punches as hard as his, right? Like, none of the enemies were any less formidable, but you were just as formidable as far as your combat skills, your hit, your how much damage your hits are able to inflict was just as much as theirs in normal mode. Whereas in difficulty, the higher difficulty, which I did switch it to for a few sessions, then you have to hit him a few more times before it gets down to what his would just get yours down to right off the bat. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, it dumbed down the combat or it was less formidable because you put it on normal. It's just, you can kick their ass as well. And it's really, really good. Like, it's more of an empowering kind of a game. And I think that may be what will help me traverse this Soulsborne genre more. right? I hate the idea that you take all my skills away and give me the most formidable foe, and then I got to just deal with it. This one doesn't do that, right? This gives you just as many tools to traverse all of those divides as the foes themselves have as well. So I guess what I'm saying from a keep this on your radar perspective, I'm hooked. I'm sold. I'm getting this day one. I'm excited to play it.
When does this release?
I don't think they put a date on it. Yeah, I think I don't think it's coming 2024 though. I think it's 2025. But again, I'm in the mobile space, so I haven't really had a chance to really like dig through. I'll look it up real quick and let you know. So there's that. So release date. Give me 1 second here. I think it's 2025. I could be wrong. Phantom Blade Zero. See, it was supposed to release on May 24th, 2023, or so it says every time I look it up. But I don't think they've set an actual date for release for this game just
Fall
yet.
2026. Game Logic says.
Oh, is it? Okay, well, 2026. And I'd be surprised if they're showing that off right now. That's some time away. That is some time away. But yes, the game is freaking awesome. It is so good. Like, and the moves, you know, when you do the right stuff, the moves you get, the way it makes you feel like a god among men. It's an awesome, awesome game.
So here's a thing. If that is the case, fall 2026, I think that speaks to sort of the path in game development. So you make your vertical slice, you know what your game is going to be, and then it will take that long to fill the game really out with assets and all the other things that you have to do. Which is, when you think about it, nuts. You think, okay, like this, it feels like it has all the features here. You should
Black Myth released that way too, right?
Yeah.
Black Myth released that way. The first day you saw that game trailer, it had combat. It wasn't even a freaking CG trailer. It was the game. But then it took them 2-3 years to fill it in. So, you know, it stands to reason that they're on the same trajectory. So, okay, one more game, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the matter. One more game, because I said I promised I would talk about a big game I played, and of course, you know, I'm about the indies. So let me also talk about a game that I didn't even expect to enjoy. Like I didn't have it on my schedule. I wasn't necessarily there to play that game. So, quick story. There's an app that you use to set up your appointments, right? Where developers are able to put their game out, and then content creators and others are able to go and say, hey, I request a play session for this. I request a play session for that, right? So I used that app to request to play a few games, and then they tell you what hall, what time, what location you need to be in order to get your appointment. So I get my thing. I'm rushing around, like got the backpack on. I'm running, trying to get to my appointment, trying to make sure I get there on time, because you don't want to be late, right? So I get there, and the people who are there are not the people who are supposed to be there. So initially it was like, oh, maybe they'll be there at X amount of time. Let's wait. So I wait around. This is a 2:00 appointment. And I'm looking around. I'm like, did they waste my time? Like, I wanted to be sure I was there on time. Perfect. Make sure I'm not late or whatever. Then the people who were there looked on the books, looked at my badge, and went, hey, we do have your name on our schedule. So maybe our reps made a mistake in that they put the wrong thing out there, you know. But hey, you don't never know. You might enjoy what we have to offer. How about you come and take a look at our game, right? And this is like, I think, four people dev team. Okay. Now this game has a demo that's out already, and you can try it out. It's on Steam. I will also say I will be talking with the dev, because I'm trying to get them on the show, and they're very amenable to doing so. They're excited to come on and talk more at length about their game. And the game I'm talking about it's called It's Just Money. If you haven't looked it up, look it up. It's Just Money, made by 4 people. And this is GTA made by 4 people. and it's the most. It's like Fading Afternoon in that it's like so many systems upon systems upon systems. It is mind blowing. So there's a story, obviously. The premise being the mayor is evil and deciding that all the people that are below the poverty line are not worth helping. So they put them in a sewer somewhere. So when the game starts, you crawl out of the sewer, and basically you're here to claw your way back to the top, right? And there's cutscenes and all of this as well. But as you can see, it does it in a very jovial kind of way. It's the art style is fun and tongue in cheek and all of this. The voice acting is almost like Animal Crossing with writing, right? So there's no actual voice acting. The sensibility is almost Lego game like. You know, if you guys have ever played Lego games, you know that it's kind of, you'll get to play your Star Wars, but you're not playing like the hardcore Star Wars with those unfortunate things that happen to certain people. This is very much played for laughs, if you will. But that's where the jovialness ends. I was talking to the dev. Their favorite games, their inspirations were Sleeping Dogs. Their inspirations have been like a bunch of the Ubisoft games. So like there's pickpocket mechanics. That's actually what you're looking at right now. There are pickpocket mechanics where you can pickpocket people. Anybody in the world, you can scan them in the world and they'll tell you the type of person they are. You can actually recruit them to your cause, a la Ubisoft's version of what is it called again? Legion. Every car is customizable. Every clothes are customizable. The world is effing huge, like really huge. And here's the crazy part that Everborn that blew my mind. When you look at the map, right? The map is monstrous. There's so much to do, and it's all in real time. So if you do this in multiplayer, and your buddy says, "Oh, I'm on this street at this time," when the map is at the top and you zoom in, it can get 3D, and you can see your buddy running around in real time. Everything is represented real time. It's all happening at the same time. It's not just happening for you. The world is happening as it's happening.
Does it have controller support?
Absolutely, it has controller support. The head developer is from New Zealand. The dude sat down by himself and built every single building, every single street. I mean, this dude is like, he's in his 30s. Every single street, everything. Him by himself drew everything. Oh, and there's like 80 tracks in the world, and all the tracks that he built, the tracks, the music you hear, he authored every track. Like, it's a labor of love in every sense of the word, and it's freaking amazing what they've been able to accomplish in this seemingly goofy little game. I was floored. If you have a chance to play it, you definitely should. It's wild what they've been able to accomplish with this.
Okay, so two things.
Uh-huh.
I want to know what I think I talked about this before. I don't remember, but what do you think about like indie games like this, the potential for them using sort of AI to do the voiceover when they can't get a cast? Is that like acceptable, or is that like oh god, you use AI
right
when you
now,
couldn't afford an actor anyway?
Right now, I was gonna ask them that question. I didn't ask them that question, and the reason why I didn't ask them that question is they will be on our show. We're gonna get them on our show, and I want to tease into that a little bit. But based on what I've seen from the game itself, I would think that the reason why they don't want to do it is because it would take away from the tongue-in-cheek nature of it. It all works together, like the goofiness, the hilarity. It all kind of works together. Right. And I mean, when I say there are systems on display, think of your GTA. And I know you don't play GTA personally, Everborn, but think of your GTAs that you've played in the past, where eventually the biggest, baddest GTAs, now you're putting together crew and you're going on heists and all that is possible in this game. Oh, here's a cool thing. What blew my mind. You start off obviously in the sewer. As you grow, as you do in every GTA game, you get more money, you get more, you're able to buy property, you're able to buy and run businesses. and double up and buy and run more businesses. And when you, it's so intricate and so crazy that let's say you buy a house, you have a TV the size of your wall. In that TV is real YouTube. They made the frame actual real internet YouTube. So in that world, you can literally be watching your own favorite podcast in their world while you're running around. They thought it was cool, so they just do stuff like that in. It is a wild experience. I actually downloaded it on the A1 Pro and on the One X Player Mini, and I've been playing around with it. It is such an achievement. I can't tell you how crazy it is that 4 people can build a game of this intricate nature, making everything themselves. The world is so freaking detailed, and it's all done by one dude. He says basically he started off with maps of Brooklyn, and then he incorporated New Zealand, where he's from, and then Nebraska and all these other places. And my first question to him was like, "Have you been to all these places?" He goes, "Nah, bro. I watch a lot of documentaries." So he took it upon himself to build. It is a wild experience, and it's very fun. So,
all right.
One big game, one small game.
I have another. I don't know if you saw this while you're there, but it's a game that I think people should keep their eye on. If you're into 3D platformers, there's a game called Ruffy and the Riverside.
Ruffy and the Riverside. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me look that up real quick, and I'll put it up.
See if you can find the trailer.
You tell me.
Yeah,
okay.
we're
So
definitely
Ruffy?
at Gamescom. All 10.2.
I see it. Ruffy and the Riverside. Interesting. Okay.
Real
I see it was
vibes with this.
I see it was on the Future Game Show. See, I didn't get a chance to watch any of the Future Game Show because I was running around all day. So these are the things I will be watching when I get back. So okay, Ruffy and the Riverside. There's the graphics to it. Interesting. So it's a 3D world with a 2D
character. And like the new Zelda game where she gets the magic powers and kind of manipulates the world, here you copy things in the world and then paste them to change the world. So you're seeing he's doing that right now. He copied a tree and then pasted it onto a waterfall, and now he can climb up that waterfall.
That's great. Some interesting ideas on display.
Very innovative here.
That's cool. That's real cool. Yeah. Yeah,
so
there are so many games that I missed out on.
The one from Gamescom, like from an indie perspective, that looked the most interesting to me. This is the one that I'm definitely like
you're excited
wishlisted.
for. Okay.
We'll get this whenever it comes out.
So another game, and I'll just mention this briefly. I won't even look it up because again, I want to talk to the developer, maybe do a write up on it, or maybe have them come to the show. So I'm walking through the crowd, and there are halls where there are literally developers just pulling at you like, "Hey, come check out my game. Hey, come check out my game." And a lady and her husband, like you can tell, woman could be either my age or a little older, right? And she's like, you want to come check out my game? And I'm like, okay. And she says she loves games like Slay the Spire, strategy card games, right? And she's been playing strategy card games for hours and hours on end with her husband. But every time she wants to play those games, her kids want to play it with her, and she can't obviously have them play Slay the Spire because that game is this depression simulator, basically. So she basically built Slay the Spire, but for kids, and showed me the game. I think I even have footage. I'll share that in due course. Showed me the game. Showed me how the systems work and all this, and I was like, amazing. And she's like, "Yep, this is my mission. I want to make all the most popular games that most people really love, but make them accessible, no violence for children because my kids need games to play."
That's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
And I know what that's like doing the convention route, for example. New York Comic Con will be there this year, booth 2039. When you are at one of those booths, the whole thing is to get attention, right? So what I would do is like not stand behind the booth, but in front of it and say, "Hey," it'd be like a Jehovah Witness kind of thing. Have you heard about the Everborn saga? Right? So this is what it's like when you're at one of those conventions and you're trying to get attention on the thing that you're building for the world. So it's super interesting. But speaking of the Everborn saga, we have 238 people watching this across all the channels.
Please.
How many likes do we have right now?
Well, okay, now I have to go check out the likes. Yeah, this man.
All right. Well, if you didn't hit like already, I'm shaming you now.
Naming and shaming.
Yeah.
Our likes. Also, let's see. We have 56 likes. Come on, y'all can do better than that.
56 likes across 200 and some odd people. Come on. All right. Now the other thing is, I am gonna put the link to the Kickstarter in the chat again so that people can follow it.
Please do.
I said it before when we only had 50 people. Now we got 200 people. That's why I'm doing it again. So if you could do me that favor, please, just hit the notification button on that. Now, what is next, sir? Let's talk about some news. The people are here.
So yeah, I want to talk about some news. And before we get to that news, and there's only really one big news thing that I really want to discuss. We'll get there. If there's any other topic, any other game that you guys saw during the Gamescom that you think that is worth mentioning, things that we should keep on our radar, put it in the chat. I'll scour the chat. I'll put it out there. My mission when I get home is literally to spend a week on YouTube catching up, because I was running around. I didn't get to watch the future game show. Didn't get to watch any of the content. None of that, all that stuff. I was literally running around the con floor. I will also be sharing, I have a lot of footage on my device. I'll be sharing my experiences just running around the con floor, all the big, huge booths and all of this stuff. I'll be sharing all that. They'll be all coming out on the channel as well. So be on the lookout for that. I've put out one or two of them so far. But yes, when I get home, I'll be putting that out. So we'll be checking that out. But all right, so let's talk about some of this news stuff here. Now, I didn't go online and scrape a lot of news or whatever, but there are some things that basically hit my radar that I thought would be interesting. And of course, we're going to talk about Microsoft's putting Indiana Jones on PS5. That's the elephant in the room. I actually, cheap plug, I wrote an article called Starfield, Indiana Jones, and the Elephant in the Room, because that's literally what happened to me. I went to go see Starfield, Indiana Jones, and then there was the elephant in the room. So go read that on the GameCircle.com. We'll talk about that. But before we do, I want to give a big salute to the great men at the Iron Lords podcast, because it seems they broke some news on themselves as well with Avowed. Did you hear this news about Avowed running at 30 frames on the Series X?
I heard it, but like we've been here before. They took a play from the Todd Howard playbook.
Yes, we
were designing it like this from the beginning.
I'm giving you a second chance now with all this, because the last time I had to pull up them digital receipts on you when you were like, well, it was their creative choice. And I'm no. It's a technical limitation that can be traversed over time.
That argument.
I'm giving you a second part.
it wasn't about that. I'm just saying we
real
got
quick.
Okay.
Real quick before we continue, shout out to the great Tide Talks in the chat. What's going on, brother? The man that turned Everborn Saga's tirade into the ether that it became, the editor of that video, which has been making the rounds about what your thoughts are on the Indiana Jones and basically the new plan at large that Microsoft is doing. He put good words and he put good music in the background, and his visuals were excellent. So shout out to you, sir. Anytime you want to do that, we should talk in the background. I feel like your visual acumen is beyond reproach, sir. We might need to work on something together at some point soon. But salute to you. Thank you for being here.
By the way, Dr. Dryrub in the chat asked why we won't be at Anime NYC this year. We tried to get in, but we tried through Artist Alley, and that's more of a lottery. And so they, it's not a first come first serve thing. So they just kind of pick at random who they're gonna let into the Artist Alley. But next year we will go, and we will aim for getting on the main floor there. So we'll definitely be there next year in some form or another, whether it's Artist Alley or the main floor. But we're aiming for the main floor for Anime NYC next year, 100%. We just couldn't get in this year because we tried for Artist Alley and then they ran out of slots.
Understood.
But we did try.
Okay. So back to the story. Do you think is it much ado about nothing? Are people just used to it now, or is that something that will cause more consternation?
I mean, this is the whole point. Like, I think we have to get past consternation, right? Like, how many times does this have to happen, right? So if we're talking about Redfall 30, Starfield 30, all their next gen games, I think except for Forza Motorsport, didn't really have a 60 FPS option, right?
At launch,
they
right? All eventually did.
You'll get it later, and that's really what it is. Magically, they're gonna figure it out in 3 to 6 months.
I mean, Hellblade 2 did have 60 though, did it?
No, it did
or was
not.
that only 30?
Absolutely not.
It did not as well. You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I played it on PC. I don't recall. Yeah, you're right.
My point is, at this point, what do you expect? Now, you can say, at least on the PlayStation versions, they'll give you the option for 60 FPS, but those are like, a lot of them are cross-gen.
Exactly. That's snake oil. Like you can't make those comparisons because they're just giving you last-gen games with overhead.
Okay.
See, look. That's the part that, although I agree, that's the part where I push back, because it's kind of like they are treading on people's like inability to recognize what next gen is. So they'll just give you prettier graphics, which can be scaled, and then they'll give you 60 frames, and you'll go, see, they can do it. When these guys are like pushing envelopes, and that sometimes needs more time.
Is Avowed actually pushing an envelope though?
Until you play it, you can't make that determination.
I'm just asking you a yes or no question. Do you think they're pushing envelopes?
I can't make that determination until I play it, right? Just like if you look at, for example, Dragon's Dogma 2, it's not the prettiest game on the block, but it's pushing so many systems that it couldn't hit 60, right? This is, until you play it, you don't know. Okay. If you're using your naked eyes to make that determination, that's how PlayStation gets you, which is giving you the same game but making it prettier, and you go, oh, that's next gen. Not necessarily.
Let me use your same argument against you, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
If I may. Was Starfield pushing any envelopes technically?
Yes, absolutely.
Then why is it running at 60 frames a second now with more features?
Because
even on the Series S.
Because if you're pushing the envelope like that, you need time to really traverse that divide. Time they didn't have, right? Whereas if you don't push the envelope that way, you can hit your mark first shot and you keep moving.
What you're saying is,
eventually all of these will be traversed.
You either deal with a delay,
yes,
for the optimization, or you
get the same regurgitation.
You get it when you. Okay, so and I understand that, right? But the question is,
it's not like you're never getting it. You'll get it, but it takes more time, right? It's not like, oh, well, we're done now. We're going on vacation and we'll see later. Come on now, that's not how it works.
But isn't it as the so first of all, like Avowed was delayed to 2025, so we should acknowledge that.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So on top of being delayed, like Starfield, like Redfall, like some could argue Hellblade, it got delayed and still ended up at that
at 30 frames.
30
yes,
FPS.
But I will still bet that eventually you will get a 60 frames version.
I'm sure you will. But my point is, if you're a console-only gamer, Xbox console-only gamer,
sure, yeah,
and you keep seeing the games get delayed, and they're telling you they're
Mm-hmm.
delayed for polish, but when you get them, you
Yep.
still have to wait another 3 to 6 months for
For the
that
60.
update.
Yeah. Yep.
Is
Yep.
Wouldn't you get frustrated? I know it's
Um.
easy for us to say. Wait a minute, hold on. Before you answer that, it is very like this doesn't bother me at all because I'm gonna play Avowed at
But
more
see,
than
this
60.
is exactly what I was about to
But I'm
say.
asking you
This
to
is
put
exactly.
yourself in the shoes of the person who only has that.
But that's my
Don't they
point,
have the right
right?
to be upset?
You do. But when you recognize that that is the benchmark you will always end up hitting, meaning you get the stable first, then they push the envelope later. I'll even flip it. PlayStation has done that. Like look at Spider-Man. They start with a certain threshold, and then every 6 months you get quarter resolutions, and now you have ray tracing. They hit a benchmark, right? Which they can hit because they're aiming for that at first, because that's what pushes them out the door. But consistently every time, they then give you more of those options you want after they've had time and effort to work on it. Now
Spider-Man did launch with 60 though.
the only difference is when PlayStation does it, they're not pushing the envelope and giving you something that requires them limiting it to 30.
But I would argue visually, Spider-Man pushes the envelope more than
But this
Avowed
is
does.
visually. But that's my point, Pete. This is the point, and I always feel like I'm defending, but I'm not. If we're talking visuals, stop talking next gen, because visuals can scale up and can scale down. Do you know one of the most visually appealing games out there? Fortnite, but it can run on a freaking potato because you can scale it all the way up to Unreal Engine 5 nanite gorgeousness, or you can scale it all the way down to make it run on a Switch. Visuals don't determine the generation. It's it's the wool they've pulled over your eyes to make you think you're getting.
Yeah, but I've also watched all the devlogs for Avowed, and it doesn't seem like they're building a very interesting story and a beautiful world. It doesn't.
I want to play the game before I go, oh, that wasn't worth it.
Okay,
right?
I think we'll revisit this, and you'll come exactly to where I am. Now, my point though is there's this concept called the death of 1,000 cuts.
Of course, right? Of course, yes.
And
yes,
if you are primarily gaming on the console, and you care about this stuff, it is hard not to feel like you, as the console owner, is the last priority.
You just said something real quick, and that's something you just said real quick. You just kind of slipped that in and moved on, and I kind of feel like that needs to be double clicked on a little bit. If you're a console gamer and you really care about this stuff, maybe you shouldn't be a console gamer.
That I don't know that that's fair, and I'll tell you why. Right, you and I and a lot of the folks in our chat happen to be blessed enough that we can just make that decision, right? And again, it's not really fair for someone that's rocking a 4090 to tell the console guy,
no. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. That's what you do. Don't do that.
Look, you did it. I'm
game on this
what
thing.
You did.
I game on this thing, and this thing is less powerful. This thing is less powerful. Let me finish. Let me finish. This is less powerful than a Series X. But the reason why it can hit 60 is they let me make those determinations. That's why. Has nothing to do with the power of your console or the power of your hardware, blah, blah, blah. It's the fact that on a console, it's locked. Whether it can or can't do, it's what it is. On this thing, yeah, you may not get the smoke and the fog and all the ray tracing goodness, but if you really care about 60, you can make it run 60 here. That's why I say,
how much did that cost? Was it more or less than an Xbox?
Oh, bro, there are many. Your ally can do it. The original
was that ally more or less than an Xbox?
It was less. Right now, you can buy
that
an ally
was $7. This is $7.99.
Yeah, but that's the newest one with. That's the newest one with a ridiculous battery. You can still buy that old one that's almost like $300, and you can still hit 60. What are you talking about?
You do.
What are you talking about
right now?
When
I asked you how much that device you pulled up on the screen cost.
look, sir, I'm telling you.
I'm asking you a simple question. I just want a number on how much it costs with the device that you referenced that people should get.
You have played Black Myth Wukong in your 4090. Since that game came out, I haven't been at my 4090, so I've been only playing it on this.
How much did that cost? It's a very simple question.
This cost me $900.
$900.
Yes, but when I say that, don't go, oh, well, she's not. It's because it does so much more. At the end of the day, the same chip is in the OG Ally. It's just scaled down a little bit. If you really, really care about frames, you can buy a white Ally right now for $350 and get yourself to 60 frames. You can do that. Now, when you do that, you'll lose ray tracing. When you do that, you may have to scale this back, scale that back. But you're saying your importance, your priority is 60 frames. So why not?
Oh, okay. Let's go back to our original point here.
And by the way, before we continue,
I want to get off the dance floor real quick.
Yeah. You do that. Hollywood Rules, thank you for being here. $2 super chat. He says, "Good morning, Graybeards. Sega, #Sega." And by the way, Saga, Graybeard Saga, #Sega. By the way, I spent some time at the Sonic booth, the Sega booth, and I want to tell you some things. We'll get there too. I would like to talk to you about my experience at the Sega booth. But yes, continue.
Okay, so the point is, if you invested in the console and you are not fortunate enough to also be able to spend $600 to $900 on a handheld or multiple thousands on a big rig PC. Let's say you're just not able to do that. I know it's hard for us to believe that, but that is the case for a lot of people.
Says the man who rose a 4090 in his bedroom. Shut up, bro. I've been using that against you for months.
No. Again, that's fine. I am not saying I'm fine. I'm not worried about this. And for that specific reason, I went to the PC. I'm only saying that everyone does not have the ability to do that, and we should acknowledge that. Sure. Now,
all I'm saying is, if that is very much important to you, right, then it's time for you, because every generation you make a determination. Every generation you do, and we're already at the end, coming towards the end of the Xbox/PlayStation generation. Now, PlayStation is going to kind of do one of the side steps and give you a pro console. But if your frames are critically important to you, I think you should look into a PC. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's got to be a 4090. I'm saying it could even be a handheld that you dock. But if you don't want the locked profile, because that's the priority here, not the performance, it's the fact that your profile is locked for you by someone else. That's the importance here.
Okay. So
then you need to think about looking into that. That's all I'm saying.
Again, the thing is this. It is hard to not, as an Xbox console only gamer, to not feel like you are the last priority in so many aspects, right? So you're the last priority in terms of several high-profile third-party games that have released, because they if they come to you at all, they'll come to you later, because you're the last priority. You're the last priority in terms of performance tuning when these multi-plat games come out. You are the last priority from Microsoft's own devs in terms of again, performance tuning. Even if you could understand it for the third parties, the first party developers will prioritize performance on the console last. Right? You'll get 30 and you'll like it, and if you don't like it, go spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a PC. I don't think that's the right message that
But it's not. Look. But we are not politicians, and we're not trying to deliver a message. I am just saying, if you are sick and tired of always hearing people go, "Oh, but you promised me this. Oh, this is what we're supposed to get." Stop listening to promises and start doing your own research. Right? If the floaties don't work for you anymore, it's time to swim in the deep waters. I'm sorry. That's what it is.
So
and this is coming from a dude. This is coming from a dude who has basically clawed my way into every hardware I've got. right? I didn't even get consoles because I couldn't afford them. When people were enjoying themselves, I couldn't be part of that world, right? And where
that's
we
not
are
you
today,
anymore, though. So I don't know if that's a
no, I get
real
that.
like.
I get that. No, but what I'm trying to tell you is, remember, when you were advocating people go CEG with a 4090, I said you could use a mini PC that costs like $500. That's what I said, right? It's just a different choice versus a console, because that one comes with an unlocked profile versus a console that comes with a locked profile. That's the only difference. And the monetary value can be literally identical. It can be literally, oh, well, I'm buying a $500 console. Well, buy a $500 PC. Yeah, concessions will be there, but concessions are there all the time. But you get to decide where those concessions are, because the console is locked and the PC is not.
Okay,
Like,
so
it makes logical sense.
It makes logical sense to you because it's an easy move for you.
Oh, here he
But
goes. All right.
but again, my only point is, so from the first party devs not like prioritizing their own hardware platform until after launch, right? From third party devs deciding they can skip the platform brazenly, and then you know, we can talk about the Indiana Jones thing, but even in terms of if you're still there for the IP and the exclusives, that's not a thing you should be there anymore for. So if you are, again, you're gaming on all these things, right? But there are millions of people that are believe it or not, there are millions of people that are gaming on Xbox, and they chose that as their platform.
Sure, yeah.
And they, time and time again, have to feel the last priority from third-party devs to first-party studios, and now even you know, management who's putting the games in other places. And so, you know, it's a difficult role, and you can only, this is why I said the whole thing anymore, like, you know, we're ultimately saying the same thing, because you're saying go somewhere else, and
what
I'm
saying is, you're saying that you do not, they do not deserve your loyalty. That's what you're saying, right? Because they've shown that and I am saying,
and I'm just saying it's hard not to feel that way.
None of them ever deserved your loyalty in the first place.
But see, we talked about this on the phone.
It is a transactional relationship. If they offer you something you like, you take it. If they don't offer you the thing you like, you go elsewhere and get the thing that you like. I have always been that way from time immemorial. Like, why is it that you gotta love and have this emotional investment?
No, it's not
in these guys?
It's not about that. It's not about that. Because see, ultimately, what you're saying is, they're liars, so they should be excused for lying because you should have known they're lying. I'm not saying they're liars,
right? No. I'm not saying they're liars. I'm not saying they're liars. No. That's not what I'm saying. Let me be clear. I am not saying they're liars. I'm saying there are technical reasons why some developers will choose to have the resources they have, so that they can give you 60 frames. And then there are others who want to push the envelope and not have their resources and get right to where they can be stable, which then gives you 30 frames, right? They get to make that determination. And if you don't like that, then you need to get off that train, because the minute you stay there, that will be a decision that constantly gets made, and it will piss you off. If you don't like that, because I'm not saying they're lying, it's like a glass. Some choose to put half in it so they give overhead. Some choose to put more than half in it because that's what their vision entails, right? If you don't like that, you can't sit there and pout about it. Get off the train. That's what I'm saying. It's not them lying.
But you can still get off the train and acknowledge the shortcoming, right? Like,
what do you mean by acknowledge the shortcoming?
So, like, is no one supposed to say anything that there are certain expectations set by them, and then those expectations are not met, and then they change the rule book mid-game
Yeah.
And now you're just supposed to say, well, okay, I believed in this thing, and then they changed the rules, so just get a PC
let me be clear.
if you don't like it.
Let me be clear. I'm not saying they're devoid of criticism, right? You don't hear me saying, oh, calm the hell down. No, I'm not saying that, right? I am not saying that. I have said that when they do these things, they will piss you off. Why? Because they're making their, just like a wise man said, in his diss track, right? They have made determinations that are good for them. And they will continue to making determinations that are good for them, that sees their vision come to fruition. If you don't like that, then you have to make determinations that are good for you. Who said that on that diss track? That was you.
No, and I still believe that. This is just this is not about. This is just about me acknowledging people that are upset by this.
Oh no,
because
I agree.
Too many times,
I do agree.
I don't know that you do agree, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Too many times when people bring these issues up, right? At the end of the day, we agree. If you care about these things, if these things are pissing you off, they have no loyalty to you. You should have no loyalty to them. That is an entirely separate discussion from whenever someone brings this up, right? Brings up these issues that are either broken promises or bad messaging or bad treatment of loyal fans, whatever. They are constantly either shouted down or made to feel like they're being man babies or council warriors or whatever, as though they should not even question what these big billion-trillion-dollar corporations are doing.
So okay.
And I don't believe that they are above reproach. I believe you can say.
So I am not saying they're above reproach. That's not what I'm saying. And maybe the reason why you get this kind of talk from me is, like, I've always.
But it's not just you. There's a lot of people that will just tell you to shut up. And I'm just speaking for those people.
They may be coming at it from a different angle. My angle specifically is, when I see a console, I do my research on a console. When Aaron Greenberg says 60 is the new standard, I know what that thing is capable of. So when it turns out to be 60-40, it doesn't make me lose my mind because I know what that hardware is capable of, right? That's why, like, I will only go so far in my disappointment, because when The Last of Us runs on a PS3 or a PS4, to me, that's rose growing. That's a rose growing out of the concrete, not a standard, because I know what that hardware is capable of. Right? This is me specifically. I understand that others will come at it with a different perspective and all of that. This is why I always advocate to people buying or going places where those determinations aren't made for you, because you don't like that. Well, then you go in and you remove fog. You do this. You do that. And see if you can hit the benchmark that you like, right? That's just the way I have always approached it. That's the way it is, right? Yes, and I see you out there. I see you with your Don Matrix slander. Stop talking smack there, Sycamore.
I didn't want to say anything.
I'm gonna block you off my channel if you're talking your Don Matrix slander. Get the hell out of here. No, but truth be told, look, the well is getting poisoned by people from all avenues going, oh, man babies and console warriors. I understand that that's part of the equation. All I'm saying is, we are grown men and women who feel slighted for not getting what we want. And what I'm saying to you is, if more and more and more your favorite games are coming out and they're not in the condition that you wanted them to be, then maybe it's time you look elsewhere. That's all I am saying.
I'm saying let me use my one for the day. Let me use my one for the day.
Sure.
Two things can happen at once. You can look elsewhere and also talk your shit.
Okay. But then when you talk that, then you get lumped in with the Warriors, and now you're complaining that you're getting lumped in with the Warriors.
Doesn't matter. The truth will set you free. All right.
Jax82, $2 super chat. He says, so we just gonna let them off the hook, get a PC. What hook are they going to be on? Did you put a ring on it and now you caught them with your brother?
You spent your $500. What do you mean? What ring did you spent it based on those promises they get?
You spent your $500 and then you bought the games, and for a while you enjoyed the games. And at the time you bought it, and remember, a console generation is supposed to lock it in for 7 years. Technology moves in 2-month increments. So while developers are shooting their shot all over the place, trying to hit the next big thing, the thing that used to be great 6 years ago is now very much debilitated. You want them to keep it in stone because they made that promise. It's unachievable.
It's not just that.
Back in the day when technology, regular PC technology, was not on the same track as consoles, that was possible. That's what they did. But now you're basically asking them to put x86 technology in Carbonite because they promised you that it would be that way for 6 years.
Yeah,
that can't be done anymore.
That's not okay. I think we should move on because we might be going in circles,
yes.
and I don't want this to be like a negative
absolutely.
thing.
Let me catch up on a couple super chats and we will move on.
But it's not that it's not possible, because 60 does come later for these things, so it's not like we're asking to squeeze
which takes
blood
time.
from a stone.
That's right. That blue number, member for 4 months, she says, K, the problem is with your long library. I agree with you on that, right? And when I say move on, I don't even say move on, but when I say investigate into a PC, I am not saying, like people say, I'm going to throw my library and then we'll start it. I have libraries everywhere. I still play my Xbox, right? But when I grab my Xbox controller, I know what to expect there. And I can still have great time playing games there, right? I don't expect that the game that ran at 30 frames per second on my Xbox now is going to run magically better everywhere else. If it runs what it runs there, it runs what it runs there. And if I want to play something else, I can play it on something else. And maybe that's just my purview of it, and I understand that. It's a me thing. But the idea that your library just kind of magically disappears, no, it really doesn't. And truth be told, in a console parlance, you guys, until the recent console generation, have always been used to foregoing your library for the next gen. This gen is when they've started keeping your library alive. Your PS4 is when that started, right? Every gen before then, you had to throw all your discs in the bushes and rebuy, because that's what console generations were. Now it sounds unfathomable.
So
Nerds and Other Legends, $5 super chat. He says, the FPS argument frustrates me. It feels like a vanity argument. The argument about mismatch of expectations. Wanted apples from walnut trees. Exactly. That's.
I really want to move forward from this, but I'll say two.
Sure,
things.
but I want to get the super chats out of the way. But continue.
Yeah. We'll get those. I'm just saying. The hardware can do these things because the patches come later for every one of them.
But you know what those patches do, though.
Wait a minute. Even though it may not come for Hellblade, that is really only because they've moved on to another project, not because it couldn't handle it. So,
but what do the patches do? You know what they do. All they do, those patches, claw back performance by concessions elsewhere, right? You don't see it because they spend a lot of time trying to find the edge cases. Oh, we'll squeeze a little from here, squeeze a little from there. People won't see it, and that gives them the overhead to give you 60. You can do that yourself with a PC.
You can.
That's why people do that.
Again, so I don't buy the argument when people say, "Listen, I promise you, I don't care about this stuff."
I know you don't.
I'm just saying, you're being
the consumer advocate.
Yes, those people should have a voice too. So
I understand that.
The point is. Mm-hmm. We cannot say it is squeezing blood from a stone that you bought 4 years ago when the updates do in fact come later. So what people are asking is, when you have a first party game and you tell me that I want to feel good about this purchase, I want to feel good that that your own platform is a priority for your own developers, why don't you take the extra time to polish those games for when they release so they can shine the best, instead of doing it when you feel like getting to it after launch? How about project your launch dates better and give the teams enough time so it doesn't have to be delayed from when you announced it, and do that polish so when the game comes out, it actually does take advantage of the hardware, all those things that you built that your developers are not using. It is not too much to ask them to prioritize their own hardware. And the answer cannot just be, well, go somewhere else. You shouldn't expect them to prioritize their own hardware.
No, look, and it's not to say that they won't prioritize their own hardware, because
no, they should do it at launch. Don't project a date that is not realistic.
See, this is a problem. We can dig through these details, because I can tell you that Avowed started as a PlayStation project. I can tell you that there's a reason why all of these things start based. I can tell you that's why Starfield started that way. But none of that matters, because they are first party now. So now they have to give you the perfect project now, even though no one's asking them to throw away everything you've built and start from scratch as an Xbox build. Like, there's a lot of machinations in the middle.
You don't have to do that, and you didn't have to do that. If they didn't say that Starfield was going to launch in 2022 when they knew it wasn't ready, and then it launched
they didn't technically know, because if they did, they wouldn't have said that.
Okay.
Anyway, so
the point is,
let me
project your dates better so it's not a delay, and don't put the game out until it has all those improvements that it needs, that the game can shine the way it needs to. And this is not asking too much. This is not squeezing blood from a stone. The hardware,
BT Maverick,
it doesn't matter if it started development on the PS5. It just means do the work that you need to do with the projects that you have, because they do it later. That's not that. Okay.
BT Maverick 707 with a $5 super chat. He says they couldn't get Redfall to run at 60 at launch. It's more of an overhead issue, not enforcing certain standards at launch, rather fixing them later. But this is what we're talking about, BT. Had they started those projects as Xbox projects, it wouldn't have had to do fixing later. A lot of these games that people are holding against them are fixer-uppers, if you will. And I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm not saying that, you should give them a pass because of it. I am just giving you the cold hard equations on the ground. You can tell them to like, the only way to solve that would be, okay, all the projects that you started that were third party, kill them all and start them from scratch as first.
You don't have to do that. I think that's a straw man argument.
It's not a straw man argument, because at the end of the day, when you start developing their way, you can't then pivot to an Xbox overnight. It's not how that works. And you know this.
But no one's asking them to do that. That's the straw man, that you are positioning what I and others are saying as we're asking them to do that. No, we're asking them to not announce,
to delay everything, and make sure they're done before they talk to you about it. That's what you're asking.
A lot of other people do this. It's not that hard. They don't have to keep stepping on the same rate.
$2 super chat. Sorry, sir. He says, you spent $500 on 4K 30. I mean, you can spend $500 on 4K 30, but if something is capable of 4K 30, it can then also do 1080p 60, if your priority is the 60. Right? It's basically how you choose to dole those resources out. If you don't want to do that, you get a console, and they make those determinations for you, and it's locked in, and you hope that it's the best that they can do, and that's that. But if the 60 is such a pain point in your mind, then you can pay that money, and then you decide where the sliders go. That's all I'm saying, right? That's all I'm saying. And it's not a excuse them and then just go buy a PC. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that I can tell a lot of folks are no longer okay with someone else determining the profile for them. And that's what keeps happening over and over and over again. So go to a platform where the profiles are no longer determined for you. And I'm not saying do that overnight. I'm just saying understand that that's a factor in the equation if you're buying a console. For better or worse, they will lock that profile for you. That's what I'm saying, right? Finally, we have Slobo Backslap, $2 super chat. He says, guarantee they won't, they don't launch on PS5 at just 30. And you're probably right on that, because remember, and that's a weird thing, because I agree with you, but that's usually because they launch on PS5 later, where that time has already
when
been,
it's ready.
Yeah. Now, had they launched day and date, I bet it would have been a 30. Right? Had they launched the same time, I bet you it would have been 30. You know what I mean? It's the fact that they wait a little longer, they put all that more effort in, and then it gets to 60, right? You know, I guess the question is, what would you rather? Would you rather the game gets delayed and then comes out at 60? Or would you rather that it comes out
It's
immediately?
not delayed if you don't announce it way too early and give an unrealistic date.
Sure. That I won't give you.
Should they have said
in
2022 that all those games are coming out in the next 12 months? No, they should have been able to track that better.
Sure. On that, I agree with you. On that, their announcement cadence and how they announce things needs a lot of work, because it comes back to bite them in the ass. And actually, it is good you say that, because that pivots us into perfect synchronicity to talk about the last topic, the big topic we wanted to talk about, which is when they said just 4 games. And then I was like, oh no, oh God, no, what are we doing right now? And got it into the zeitgeist.
Well, hold on. This can't be the main topic, because what about Concord?
I don't want to talk about Concord, because I haven't really had time to read into Concord. Unless you want to tell me what's going on in Concord, please. Like I told you, I've missed a lot of what's on the ground. Go ahead, you tell me.
I want to get the most accurate numbers, so I'm checking Steam DB right now. If you can do it faster than me,
okay.
Check it out. I want you to look at the Concord active players right now.
Concord active players.
This game launched the same day as Wukong.
Okay, which probably is the kiss of death. Let me see here. Concord. Here we go.
I
Concord
see 411 in game right now.
Yep. So do I. And the peak in the last 24 hours was 697 players.
Okay.
Yes.
What do we like? Was it sent out to die? Was it one of those neckbeard woke campaigns against it? Was it just a bad game? Did Sony purposely not advertise it because they felt like they had a dud? What happens to the studio afterwards? I just want to discuss it. I'm not I don't want to kick anybody while there's down, but I think
sure. And the reason why I didn't want to discuss it is because I haven't played it myself, and I don't have the background data on it right now, because as I've said, I've been running around all week, so I missed a lot of that stuff. But I will say
could you expound on what I think Microsoft cares about? Because I think we might have two different perspectives on that, but I'd like to hear where you are coming from. But anyway, Concord, tell me what you know.
Yeah.
This is not the beta anymore, because the beta had higher numbers.
Yeah.
Than
the final release, yes. But then again, we're also using PC. We're using PC numbers to determine, right? What's the PlayStation numbers look like?
Do you believe it's going to chart on PlayStation?
I mean, I believe that there are more vested interests on PlayStation to make it successful, whereas PC players will go, "This is crap," and move on. They don't give a crap about your game, and unless it impresses them, they're ready to crap on it. Whereas on PlayStation, there are people that are still championing Foam Stars because it's on PlayStation, right? That's why I'm using Steam numbers. You're talking about the people who have no vested interest in propping you up at all. They're the ones that you're talking about right now. Whereas PlayStation, console PlayStation players, will give it a try just because it's on PlayStation. Right? And
I'm
by the
gonna
way,
look for what
this is a
Matt
game.
Piscatella says about this.
Yeah. And remember, by the way, this is a game that should be free to play by all intents and purposes because it's in a free to play like genre. And instead, it has a monetary cost. So on Steam, you're looking at the kiss of death, right? That's just it. Steam will see that, the Steam players will see that and go, not us, right? This is basically Helldivers 2 all over again. You think you want to get one over on us? Bitch, please. Is basically what you're going to get there. But on PlayStation, they are like you say, loyalty and fandom and all of that.
How'd that work for Foam Stars?
Bro, to this very day, I know people who are still swearing by that game, even though it didn't get too far. You know what I mean? But I guess what I'm saying is, let's see what the vested interest groups numbers look like. Because if that's foul as well, then yeah, this thing's DOA, right? I would think the PlayStation numbers might be better. No, am I wrong in that?
The interest, I mean, we'll see. I suspect it's not going to chart in the top 10, but we'll see.
Okay.
Now my question here is, what are the learnings that Herman Holtz and Hiroki Totoki and the other gentlemen that are running PlayStation, what are they taking from this, right? Because we have a week where Wukong comes out, skips Xbox, but releases on PC day and date, and they sell. It's a highly anticipated game, and they eclipse on Steam what they were able to do in console, right?
Of course.
Do they look at that and say we should accelerate the day and date strategy, but then they have this other piece of information that says, hey, this Concord game was day and date and it did absolutely nothing for us, so maybe we should hold our horses. What do you think is the takeaway? And does Firewalk make another game? I hope that they'll be okay. I hope. And is this more evidence that they need to pivot away from the sort of service game genre? Or do they just say, well, we did do Helldivers, Destiny, the final shape is okay now.
So what I think right now,
this is just a bad day at the office.
Yeah, they have not, although they've spoken to this a little bit, and please, folks, correct me if I'm mistaken here, they have not been scorched earth in their ROI seeking yet. They've been nickel and diming their consumers a bit, right? With remasters, remakes, and things like that. But it hasn't been a situation where, oh, you didn't hit our ROI quota, so we're closing the whole studio. They've been hit like everybody else has been hit in this industry. But they have not been, they have been seeming to try and get that money off the backs of consumers rather than shrinking their shrinking their headcount in order to save money. So that's Microsoft's move up until now, as well as others in the market so far, right?
Can you highlight Shlomo's comment while you talk? Because I want to answer that.
So I don't know definitively that right now I think that this will lead to the end or the closure of their studio. I don't know, right? I need to see more come about in that respect. What I will say is, I think, honestly, and this may be a bit of smoke from me, I think this was them needing to come down to earth a little bit, right? Just like Helldivers 2, you don't make determinations when you bring your genres to Steam. Steam, you go and you when in Rome, is as it were. When you go to that ecosystem, you behave accordingly. But they thought they were PlayStation. We can make it happen, so we'll put a free to play game out there and we'll charge people for it, and they'll play it because we're PlayStation. And they're seeing now that, hey, maybe the way we move our people on our console may not be the same way we approach the PC community, right? That's the only thing I can see off the bat may be their learnings here. You know, how they respond, I hope they give Firewalk another try. I mean, the game as a game had people respecting some of the stuff they built there, respecting about some of the fundamentals. It's not my kind of game, so I feel ill-equipped to be like, yeah, it was trash, because I don't know that. I'll leave that to Slow-Mo and the rest of them who play those games pretty frequently. It would have had me if it had a good campaign system. It did not. They tried to give you that, oh, we'll give you campaign cutscenes, but I was just like, that's just snake oil. So, for me, it seems like this is their version of experiment, or so it seems to me.
So, when Slow-Mo says they don't need to pivot away from live service games, they need to understand the markets they're entering better and make product that appeals to those who consume. Like on the surface, like obviously, yes, that's correct. But the problem is these games were greenlit many years ago, and they're all going in whatever directions they're going in. And so to now say, well, the market is different now for live service games, so we have to change these games that were designed to be one way. There are examples where that works, but many times if you didn't start out with that clear vision and you have to completely pivot from it to shoehorn it into something else, whatever they have in the pipeline is not going to work either if they're not made with a clear vision to begin with. So I almost feel like you have to stay the course, or you're going to end up with more of these. And then if you pivot away, that's another thing. It's like, okay, you pivot away.
But if you stay
how
the
long
course,
does it take to make something else though? That like these are games that take 5, 6, 7 years.
If you stay the course though, now you're in a collision course for Overwatch 2 and Marvel Rivals and other games in that genre that seemingly are doing it better than you, but you can't change it now, right? You're a clone now. You're the lesser of all of them, right? Like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I honestly think the solution to this would have been to evaluate it and potentially pivot it a long time ago. Not now. It's too late now. The cake is kind of baked already. It's congealed already. You can't really make changes. The only thing I think that they could have done to potentially help them here was take the hit and go free to play, and they might still.
Yeah. I just the problem is if Jimbo positioned all the studios to make service games, and now you want to pivot back, how long will it take you to get those traditional style single player games? I don't think that happens anytime soon either way, and that's why I say
and that's what Karate Laundromat just said there, which is also very apt. Why is this not on PlayStation Plus?
It is on PlayStation Plus, right?
Oh, it is. It is? Because I know the demo was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
So what Lon said something interesting.
And that could also make the numbers better.
Stay the course equals Concord, pivot equals Redfall.
Yeah, true. Or before Redfall, pivot equals Gotham Knights, right? Which was itself a free-to-play, which was itself a service game that then...
Okay, they're saying it's not on PlayStation Plus.
There you go. The demo
was,
the betas were.
Stupid. No.
You see my point? But this is my point, right? That's if it was on PlayStation Plus, then you would think the PlayStation numbers would get a little bit better than the Steam numbers. Because anybody who's a Steam user who sees this game will think, aren't there free-to-play variants that they're already tried and true? Why would I pay X amount of dollars for this when there's a tried and true variant right there that's free-to-play, right? So at least in Steam, if you wanted a better splash, knowing what you have, knowing Wukong is right behind you, right? Maybe you free-to-play that thing. And then you also, or at least put it in your service, and make people feel good about it being in their service as an added.
Last question on Concord. Can they turn the game around?
Absolutely.
Is there a light at the end? Because not a guaranteed light, but a potential light.
Absolutely, they can. 100% they can turn it around. That's the best part about it being a free-to-play game, a live service game. At any moment, you can pivot it to free-to-play. At any moment, you can add a new DLC that upends the world, make it interesting. You know, how many Ubisoft games like landed with a thud and then they quietly in the background like started raking in the dough left and right after fixing it, right? Now, y'all can say Dunzo, I see you there, Dorian Gray. Y'all can say that all day, but a well-oiled free-to-play service game with future content that's already lined up can pivot every day. What do you call it? Helldivers 2. Oh, the numbers are weak. Wait until the very next content drop, right?
But
that's how those things live.
But here's the thing. You know, if you are Sony and you see the reception that you're getting when you start your marketing push, and you see how many people join the beta, and you see what the chatter is about it in terms of excitement on trailer reveals.
Yep.
If you were going to cut your losses on it, but you're still going to put it out to get some money back, did you even, if you thought it was going to die, and I'm not saying Sony does think that, I'm saying, will Sony cut bait, or will they stay the course and invest in it? Because if you wait a minute, let me finish this thought. If you don't believe in it, you put it out on a day where you're not going to get a bunch of headlines because we will be talking about the biggest game of the year, Wukong, and maybe midway through your run up to release, when you're developing these content stuff, you cut the budget on that because you don't want to spend a bunch of money developing future content for a game that no one's going to play. So who's to say they even have I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying, is it possible Sony realizes this is not the one and they just put it out in a bad time?
Of course.
And don't have 100%. That follow-up that you're talking about.
They 100% can put it out, like, you know, put it out of its misery and just be like, oh, well, this didn't work, and then keep it moving. But, and I actually expect they probably will do that. I guess what I'm saying is, like Ubisoft, and I keep referencing them, but they've taught us something, right? For Honor was trash when it came out. It got laughed down the street. It is now one of their most successful IPs, because when most of us went and then moved on, they quietly kept fixing it and fixing it and fixing it. And as a live service game now, it is super, super successful. You know, Rainbow Six Siege, similarly. People keep complaining about these games that come out and their initial wave is not a splash, it's a big fart, you know? And some publishers just wash their hands and move away, a la EA with the Anthem. And then others kind of quietly keep tooling it and retooling it and retooling. And before long, the money's flowing out the spigot, which is what UB has done multiple times now with their live service games. They're not for me, but they're still kicking right now. They're live and kicking right now. So do I believe that PlayStation will kill this in its crib? Probably, because they're not the type of person, they're not the type of company that has proven to have longevity in that way, right? But there are others that have proven that it can work if you keep working at it. So I won't just say, yep, it's dead, because we thought For Honor was dead. It was dead many times, and it's still kicking right now, right? And you can't say, well, at the heart, they had a good game. No, they didn't. For Honor started like a trash game. I remember playing it. It was a trash fire. It was, right? And then they kept retooling it, and it's found its audience. So could this potentially find an audience? Who knows? We've seen it happen before. Stranger things have happened. That's all I'm saying. You disagree?
Come again. Somebody was yelling in the house in the background. I had to, mute everything.
My bad. Okay. My bad. I'm just saying, in a world where we've seen like terribly launched live service games thrive, this could go either way. This could be one. It's about the decision-making process and the patience and the money they choose to bring to bear to see if they can save it. It could be Anthem, or it could be For Honor.
Yeah.
And of course, King Webb says, and this is where I agree, it's PlayStation though. So that's why I'm like, you know. So it could be either way, you know. Yes.
I get it. I just
Yeah.
I don't know that they're gonna stick it out because
Mm.
you know, you could be diverting those funds into something else. And this is not, I'm not hearing a lot of people say like the core loop is great.
It's good.
And
Yeah.
even,
Okay.
you know, even that, so
I mean, I
it's
did hear
difficult.
people talk about they enjoyed playing the demo phase.
Okay.
I did hear that.
Are those
But
people that are
again,
very critical of PlayStation stuff that said that? Because the
but I
people that I
mean,
saw
but
say it
do
was
you?
very good were people who don't have a lot of criticism for anything
Well,
PlayStation related. So
do you have to be critical of PlayStation in order to make that determination?
no. What I'm saying is, it's people that have a lot of brand loyalty to Sony that I've heard say that. I haven't heard like
Okay. Okay.
neutral parties say that it's great.
See, I'd bring one up, but then people will throw the virtual tomatoes at me. So let's keep it moving. And I think you know who I'm going to bring up, but
Now,
we'll
Black
move that
Viking
forward.
said it was good, so
Yeah, there you go.
that's
Yeah,
a feather in the game's
there
cap.
you go.
Because if it
Absolutely.
wasn't, he would have let you
That boy
know.
be out there in the streets. That's right. Absolutely. Exactly. Right.
So I'll
So
give it
as
that.
long as some people think that the bones of the game are pretty decent, who knows, right? But again, as King Webb
Slow-mo
says, and I
says it
agree with
plays
him,
well, so
yeah.
maybe the bones are good and they got to stick it out.
But as King Webb says, but as PlayStation knows. So you never know. You don't, until UB decided to save For Honor, they also were killing games in their crib. You never know. So let me get the super chat real quick, and then we'll move on to that proper story because I want to. Let's keep it 2.5 hours. Let's see. Yeah? So Bradley Carter, thank you for being here, sir. With a $5 super chat, he says the Switch 2 will flood the market, causing Sony to make changes to their strategy, putting games on more platforms like Xbox. Shareholders come first. You are on that boomstick train, sir.
Now,
Yeah.
Mr. Carter,
Mhm.
I would love to believe that you are correct. However,
okay,
I don't know that we can say the Switch 2 will force Sony to put the Switch 2 might force Sony to put games on the Switch 2. I don't know that it will force them to put games on the Xbox. And another thing that you have to understand, the reason the pivot is happening to other consoles now is because Microsoft has already tapped the PC well, meaning they've done day and date and their customers have accepted day and date PC releases, and so there's no extra revenue to get other than going to either mobile, which hasn't worked out for them until they got King, but that's its own thing. And so this is the direction that they have to go to get more users, right? Sony and Nintendo hasn't tapped the PC well at all yet. And Sony is just flirting with the PC.
Dipping a toe right now.
They're dipping a toe. They haven't dived in head first yet. So there's a lot of headroom that they could go.
There's still a lot of headroom to go. Yes.
And it'll take years of them going day and date, and they'll see increased profit or revenue profit, whatever, that way, before they even need to look at the Xbox. So it'll be many years, I think, before that's even a consideration. And
I'll add
where
something
will
to
the Xbox platform be by the
hold
time
on.
they need to
and that's where you and I need to have this conversation. That's where we're pivoting right back to where that fundamental conversation we wanted to have. And I'll add Jax 82's comments in here. He said he doesn't see it happening because Sony don't like Xbox like that, right?
It's not a matter of like, I don't think.
But this is my point. To your point about this, about years in advance, right? By that time, they're watching what revenue, what profit Xbox is bringing in with their change of strategy. Right? Like with all things, they're letting Xbox take all the arrows. If it doesn't work, hey, nothing to see here. But if it works the way it seemingly looks like it will, which is yes, as the wise shooter said, they're saying your services are no longer needed, right? If it does work the way they want it to work, I see a world where others pivot that way too, Because when you see your competitors taking up all the money and money is not your priority, you don't let money sit on the table either. Right? Now, what my pivot to that, my only caveat to that would be, when I say this, it's not to the console. I see a world where just like what do you call it? Just like what the hell is that name of the walking simulator they built? I say that reductively. With the Kojima game coming to PC Game Pass, I contend you'll see that more frequently than you will consoles, because as we know, that market is either stagnant and not growing, right? And more based on some of the moves that are being made here, which we're going to discuss, it may not grow at all, even more than that. We don't know. We shall wait and see. But doesn't mean that Xbox is gone, right? Because, and we're going to talk about it. Let me tell you, and I'll double this back to the conversation that we were having before. We heard them we heard them talking about bringing Indiana Jones to PlayStation, and I listened to the Discords, and people are like, it's over, and like the brand is dead and all of this other stuff. And then I happen to walk around, and I know you're not saying that. I know it's not what you're saying, Everborn. I know.
No. People are saying the brand is dead to them, not that the brand is dead. Everyone acknowledges that they're going to make all the money. So
and then I walk around I walk around the Gamescom floor, and it's not that like they effing own that entire. There are 500,000 people right now on that floor. That is the estimate. Last year was 320,000. This year is 500,000 people, right? And if you see the booth, and again,
I hope you're taking your emergency and wearing masks while you're out there.
Oh, bro, I had
flu is a real thing,
bro. The con plague is a thing, indeed. Like everyone had booths. They had a freaking complex. Like, man, oh man, you want to see? I was talking to Riskit. I'm like, you want to see? You keep complaining about people about them not marketing. They have Game Pass, and the G in Game Pass is about the size of this six foot man, like plastered everywhere, right? Although every single publisher had a booth represented. Konami had a booth, Capcom had a booth, everyone had a booth. There are 10 halls in this place, right? Some of them are merch halls, some of them are indie halls, some of them are, but the big booths, the big halls, each have representation from your popular publisher. And Xbox also had representation from those popular publishers within their booth as well. Like, they run ish here to a monstrous degree, and the money spent is redonkulous. So it's there's this interesting juxtaposition where fans, diehards, are like, yo, it's over, end of days. And when you see these dudes, what they're doing here, they're like, it might be end of days for you, but there's just so much more than just you. Like, it is just wild the amount of money and investment they have made only here. All the while their ardent fans are like, what y'all doing? It's over. Like, it's a very interesting place they find themselves. But I'll let you give me your thoughts on that. On this whole Indiana Jones.
First of all, shout out to Wizzy Tekken. Just stop by to say what's up. We appreciate you.
What's going on, sir? Good to see you.
So I think this is a very important thing to understand. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of people see this because it's like miss the forest for the trees. Xbox is now either the largest or second largest publisher in all of video games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know, like how they go back and forth with market cap for Apple. That's what it is with Tencent right now.
Yep.
It is unfathomable. So the idea that they could own Gamescom like that is absolutely fine.
Bro, it's nuts what they're doing.
I understand the energy on the floor had nothing to like. There was no doom and gloom on the floor. But again, what people are feeling is the brand is leaving them behind, not that the brand is dead. It's like when you say you're dead to me to a person. It doesn't mean that that person is dead. It means
But sir, you've heard me say this a long time. What do you think I mean when I say we are horseshoe makers and the Jetsons just showed up? You ain't gonna drive that flying car. That's not for you. They've left you behind.
Yeah, and
you got to get in where you fit in, because guess what? They're speaking beyond you at this point. They just are.
And so this is the thing. And here's the thing. Like, this is a thing that you have to understand as you we could get philosophical and say as you come to grips with your own mortality, or you can
With
just
your
say
mortality. That's right.
as you become a graybeard, you just have to accept that will not be the target market forever. They have to think
That's
about
right.
the next generation. These corporations will live on past you, and so it is not like it's okay that you're no longer the target audience, because there are still avenues that speak to you. And this is to your point earlier. If these are the things you care about, if you care about exclusivity and you want to stay on consoles, then PlayStation is the right place to go for you.
Yeah.
If you care about frames and not missing any games regardless of the platform, and you care about agency, then PC is the platform for you, right? If you care about mobile and you care about legacy IP, then Nintendo's the platform for you. If you care about sort of value, which is subjective and we can discuss, because I think there's a conversation to be had versus Steam sales versus Game Pass and what is more or less valuable, but that we can save that for another day.
Sure.
But again, there are different options for you, and you don't have to feel this sense of loyalty because they've made it very clear that they are not loyal to you.
It's always been a transactional relationship, at least with them. It's always been you take my money, I give you product, right? That's how it's always been. You can wear their shirt, you can enjoy their brand, you can rah with bleeding green, but it's always been a transactional relationship. If they backhand you, or you feel you're being backhanded in the face, right? Maybe it's time you remove that transactional relationship. At least show them that what they're doing is not to your liking.
But here's what I was saying on Wednesday, which is
they already bought in.
Like, you already bought the console, right? They're not at next generation yet, and a lot of people
you can sell the console.
How does that hurt them? That's just gonna give them another
it's not
MAU.
Wait, this is my point. Why is your priority hurting them? I thought your priority is getting what you want. And if this is not giving you what you want, sell it and get something else that gets you what you want.
Yeah, but it's not that easy to get. It's not the answer. Again, I'm trying to agree with you here. The answer is not sell it and then leave your investment in that platform that you've built up over 20 years with all your back catalog and everything else.
Yeah.
So that can't be the answer. All I'm saying is, you must come to grips with the idea that they're not targeting you anymore because they know you couldn't leave if you wanted to. What does that mean? There are a lot of people, and they have the data that shows them this, that a lot of people have stacked Game Pass.
Yeah.
So if you're on the platform for Game Pass and you stacked it, they could piss you off all they want. You already paid them.
But here's my question. And this is a genuine question from me. Do you think that those like folks like the Mag and a few other folks who don't find value generally in Game Pass, do you think they've stacked it as well? I would think that those certain people.
But Mag is not out here upset about these decisions.
No. I guess my point is there have been many gamers that have been vocal about, well, I don't see the value in those games. Those aren't really my games. Like for example, the great Fonzarelli Gaming doesn't see value in some of those games. He doesn't think those games are worth it. I don't think he's rare. in that, right? Some people love what Game Pass has to offer, whether it be from an indie perspective or otherwise, right? Others don't see that value. I would think, like, I stacked my Game Pass, but the reason why I did was because I find value in those games that I wouldn't have initially thought to even try. And now, oh man, this thing's better than I thought it was. And I feel like in that world, Game Pass continues to deliver in between the AAA stuff that I also like, right? I don't play every game on Game Pass, but I find enough value in it that when the stacking opportunity came about, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll stack this thing, right? Like if I had the opportunity to stack PlayStation Plus, I wouldn't do that because I don't get the same value requirement.
Right, but there are people who stack their Game Pass and invested in the ecosystem because of the
in what? In just of a dream?
No, it's not about
because of a hope.
This is a very fundamental point.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is they stacked their Game Pass because they were promised exclusives, and even though it hadn't happened, and even though they hadn't gotten the perceived value that they were there for, they still stacked it because of a promise.
What is wrong with that?
No. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just trying to see.
Right? You stacked your Game Pass because of the promise that more games will come into the service. If tomorrow they said we're not putting any more games in the service, would you be upset? Forget about exclusivity. You stacked it. You spent your money because they promised you day and date games.
If so, for me, it's not even necessarily the day and date games. Day and date games is true, but if all of a sudden every game was a looter shooter, if all of a sudden every game was a COD derivative, yeah, I'd be pissed because my reason for being there and my reason for its value, why I feel it's valuable, is the diversity in content. So if all of a sudden they lost the diversity in content, I would not be happy with it. Absolutely, yes.
Right, and I'm saying different people have different reasons for,
sure.
Well,
I agree with you on
spending money in a platform.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, when you change the playbook mid-game, you can't look at people like they were like I'm not saying you. I'm saying you can't look at those people who believed what you said, spent money based on the words you said, and now you change the rules midway and then saying
I get you on that.
Be worrying about that anyway.
See, my only thing to that is, and I agree with you that is what would cause consternation. My only thing is the reason why I stacked is because those things that I wanted were actively happening, right? It wasn't, hey, stack it now and we promise you eventually you'll get diversity in content. They've been giving me diversity in content, and that's the reason why I felt the need to continue.
Right. Different people have different reasons, and if they changed it, you would be up here as upset as the people who
absolutely
for different reasons. Anyway,
if the active thing that I am paying for gets changed, I would be upset, and I would absolutely. It's just me that I wouldn't pay for it today for the promise of tomorrow. I'd need to see it today before I don't think it's
a promise of tomorrow. I just think that people don't like being gaslit to pretend that nobody invests in a console for exclusives and they weren't promised exclusives and now those are changing.
Oh no, I mean, right? Everybody invests in consoles for exclusives. That's how it's always been.
That is why. So it's not this. It's this weird idea that because Microsoft couldn't make exclusives work for them for business reasons. I'm not saying the business reasons aren't valid. They couldn't make it work for them, even though they tried and people invested based on that. And now they're changing those rules. And then it's just people are saying, well, why did that ever matter to begin with? Don't pretend that that's not a thing that people buy those consoles for.
Sure. Well, but you know what? The logistics on the ground, right? The logistics on the ground are more than that, though, right? It's because back in those days, and we all know this, it's because back in those days, that was the means to the end, and the end being getting you to buy the content. That was always the means to that end. Hey, we have this thing that they don't have. Why? Because we've rolled this bespoke hardware that can only do these things. I mean, PlayStation still does that. Oh, only here. But even their marketing is starting to poke holes because everyone is in x86 land now. It's becoming harder and harder to convince people of that now because it all funnels through the same architecture. And because of that, it's hard to keep those wheels on. Now, it's harder for them because they've never been successful at it. It's easier for the others because they've always been successful at keeping people on the dole, right? I'm not saying it's a good thing that they changed the equation. I'm just saying I see why they did because it's just not working for them.
100%. And again, in the chat, Omen Stevo plays games says the majority of people didn't buy a console for exclusive. This was my point on Wednesday, that when I say the hardcore don't and their feelings don't matter, for every one hardcore that gets pissed off and leaves, there are 10 more to take your place. And the hardcore definition for us in this context is very different than what a business looks at the hardcore as. Because a hardcore is someone who logs in to the service every day, uses the service, and spends money every day. That could be someone playing Madden or Minecraft or COD.
Yeah.
So we call those people casuals, but they are not. They're highly engaged. They use the platform every day. And so there are more of them than people who are still attached to the old. I don't have feelings attached to this. I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of people are talking past each other. And we should at least acknowledge the positions that people are coming from. And then we can agree to disagree.
So Sifu Poetic X with a $5 super chat, also interesting name. He says, if the next Xbox is an actual PC, does the argument change? I guess what do we mean by does the argument change? What argument? So okay, I see what you're saying there. Because the technical limitations are no longer there, and they just say screw it, we're bringing down the facade that is console. Shoot, it's all a PC now. Let's keep it moving, right? I think that's what they want to do because that's less money spent on their part, right? And that's less money lost from them because in that PC, in that console bespoke world, they have to sell you something at a loss. That's all part of the PC, the console package, unless right? You buy a 500, yeah, exactly. You buy a $500 box, which realistically costs $600-700 to make before marketing and boxing and everything else. So they're taking a loss on you, and then they have to claw back some of that money based on your content. If they're successfully able to bring that world about where it's all a PC, you bring your own PC to the game. They just sell you content. They've lost nothing on you, and they've only gained. Right now, of course, as Everborn so astutely points out, if you're Nintendo, you're doing something completely different because they learned a long time ago that the graphic quality is never the answer if you can make sure your gameplay is on point and you have a legacy of titles that people just love to go back to. You can sell them potatoes and they'll still buy it as long as the content is great.
Let me go back to that super chat because I have a different answer.
Okay, and I also want to get Mr. Max super chat as well.
We'll do that, and then we'll come back to this. Do that. Okay. Just so we don't
Gerald Mack, been a member for 7 months. He says PlayStation fanboys have always boasted about how much money they have. Xbox was listening. You're welcome. Isn't this the charge them more energy? You wanted it. Here you go. That's the charge them more energy.
I mean, sure, but you want these things that the money they make needs to benefit you, and maybe it does because you get more things.
Yeah, but we don't know that though. That's the thing. We don't know if that money will benefit us yet or not. So that's just to be seen still, right?
Yeah.
That's still wait to be seen. Yeah.
So if the next Xbox is an actual PC, that leads us down to a whole different discussion, and I'll be very brief.
Sure.
I feel like we are in a very interesting place where we have as the fans, we have a lot of requests about what we want it to be, Like there's a lot of people that feel like the next Xbox is definitely going to be a handheld. And they've
Yeah,
intimated as much, but they also feel
yeah.
like it's going to have a docking solution, which I do not think it will.
Which I doubt it. I doubt it. Yeah.
And
I
then
wish it did, but I doubt
in
it.
theory, this idea that the stores will live side by side is going to be very different than what it is in practice. Because today,
Yeah.
if you have
They have
a ROG
hooks.
Ally or whatever,
It's
the stores
extensions.
do live side by side, but it's not in a way that a lot of console
Well,
people would
well,
expect it to
no,
be.
no, no. See, remember they have the extensions as well, where they
Yeah,
extend into EA, they extend into UB. They could add price tags to those and basically have one store, but here's the
right.
UB
So
section, and you bring
they
it in.
they could they could absolutely
It
do
may not
that,
necessarily live side by side. It may
but
just be one store that's a portal for multiple stores.
right, but that's again an assumption of how we would like it to be.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things software wise that I would like Microsoft to do, but they don't, or they're very slow at doing
Mm-hmm.
it. And so while I agree, I think that answers all their problems. I think the next Xbox should be a PC and they should work out the
Mm-hmm.
licensing so they could emulate your library and get out
Mm-hmm.
of the bespoke hardware business altogether. I think they should license an Xbox OS. That's what I'd like them to do. But what
Doesn't
I
mean they
would
will
like
though.
them to do could in fact be very different than what they will in fact do. And once you are down those waters, the
Mm-hmm.
question I have is, can they do Steam better than Steam? And you're going to
No,
say they don't have to, right?
no. But you know why I say no? I'll say no because and this is not me being. I'm not trying to be smoke. I'm not trying to give you smoke. They can't do Steam better than Steam because it took Steam. You new to Steam. You're seeing Steam's final form.
I
It
don't
took
even think
Steam
this is Steam's final form,
many
but I hear
years,
what you're saying.
many years to get as good as they are now. It was a trash fire for years. They just happened to be the only game in town. It was a trash fire for a long. And if you look in the background, there's still a lot of remnants of trash fire still there.
Right.
But the big picture mode and a lot of the additions have kind of streamlined what they are right now. They're still pushing in a good direction. What I'm trying to say is, you should not even in a world where they go, yeah, we're basically going to go full bore and be a Steam competitor. You should not expect them to be anywhere close to what Steam is doing anytime soon, because it took Steam many years to get where they got.
That's the problem though, right? And Steam is not standing still while we wait
No,
for them to
exactly.
get their shoes on. And
Yes.
so once you go that route and they begin selling you a PC, it is, I'm finding this because I tried. I said I was going to go to PC, but I was going to stay in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yep.
You're going to find it harder to justify not just using Steam.
Yes.
And how do they traverse that divide once they're swimming in those waters?
But remember,
right? that is
Steam, like everything else, things change, right? Like the assumption that the incumbent can never fall is also, it's all about their willingness and their hunger and their capabilities, and that's where the smoke lies.
Do you feel like they have the willingness, hunger, and capability? They have the capability, but do they have the willingness and hunger to do that? Because to me, if I look at this Satya Nadella mantra, it is, we can make all the money by not being number one at anything. We don't have to be. And we can just be in the background and offer our services on every storefront that there is.
Yes.
And there are some people that we will get in our platform and we'll make more money from them, but our platform is only an endpoint. Our platform is the individual pieces of software we make themselves.
Yes.
Right? And so
the platform used to be the means to an end. That means to an end has now been depreciated. Can be depreciated.
So if you're on Xbox only right now, and I learned this through experience, when you first go there, you're like, I want to. They have a PC app. My library is going to come with me. I'm going to use that, and then you'll use the same game on Steam, and it will get updates faster, and it will have features for upscaling like DLSS and those things that for odd reasons are not present and sometimes never come to the Xbox variants. And then you have to say, do I take the lesser version of this game because I'm getting it in Game Pass, or I bought it in this third-party store with a more cumbersome UI if you want to use it through means of controller, or do I just use Steam? Where, again, there's no subscription service for Steam, but then you start to look at things like CD keys and Humble Bundles and all these other.
You know what? But you know what? That's where I'll push back on you, sir, a little bit. Like, some people can't afford even the $20 of the $60. So if you give them free or free with a subscription, that is a very powerful notion, right? It is a very, like, not everybody has 20 to throw to a game that is already in their library in Game Pass. Money's tight, right? We can do that, but not everybody can.
Speaking of the library thing, what I found is I have been sort of, and again, I would like nothing more than for them to have the extra an Xbox centric UI, and I would like for them to fix their store issue so that you can get comparable titles to what you get in Steam. Or just think about this, right? There's such an issue with their own Xbox launcher that when they went to early access on PC, right? I understand there's certification issues on console. And I know you're going to say they're the same on PC, but that's their doing.
Yes, they are.
Right? So why is early access for Towerborn, a game that they paid to develop, why is that early access not on their PC store? Because there's inherent issues. And my thing is, will they have those issues solved by the time they go to PC? And I don't know that they will fix those overnight.
By the way, I will say, and it does have an not embargo, but it has an NDA thing. I will say, Towerborn is in the Insider program. Can't say anything else about it. So the idea, and fresh in the Insider program. So the idea that it's only on Steam is actually not accurate.
Yeah,
it's also in the Insider. Yes, it is.
You can't just.
Like, I downloaded it today.
Okay, I understand. I played it months ago on the console. I get it.
Yes.
What I am saying is, you have to be.
And my download is on the PC side. Yeah.
Right. So you being an insider is different than early access. We can acknowledge that, right?
Sure.
And
yes. But you know why though? You know why there's a difference, right? Because on a console, right, whether you're early access or not, when there are bugs, people don't understand them, right? On Steam's early access, when there are bugs, it's early access, and people move on, right? People buy early access games all the time with the promise that they'll play it when it eventually becomes 1.0. But on console, where you hit the button and it just works, that same energy is not there, right? And because of that, that's the reason why they can do Insider program, because they're specifically telling you in triplicate, hey, this is this and this is that, and I can't say anything about it. Whereas early access, you're paying for it, and people will come after you if it's bug ridden, right? Just the fundamental idea that it's on console is why the early access doesn't really work.
But I'm not asking for it to be on console. I understand it's early access. Yeah. You should have it early access available on your own PC store. I'm only speaking to the state of the PC store. And and I'm saying to people that we are asking them to go to PC and have this hybrid model. And I am saying that will not wrought benefits to us until and unless they fix their PC situation, their PC UI, their PC launcher. And once you go to PC, now you are competing with Steam, And this is the same box. It's not like you have to buy another box to use Steam. It'll be right there. So they're going to have to convince people that once they're on PC, they should use their software versus Steam. And I just,
great game.
I hope they can do it.
I played the demo and played it again at Gamescom. Awesome game. The Altars. Had to put that in there real quick because we are a game show. So let's talk about some games. That's a great game. Anyway, no, I don't disagree with you. I don't. Right. I think that they need to fundamentally, like, at least do some things on the ground to make their PC experience a lot better. Loosen the hands that bind them to the console store. Right. It's been said that it's just too much of an unwieldy beast, and in order for them to fix that, they'd have to just throw the baby out with the bathwater and start from scratch. And it takes a long time for them to do that, and that's the reason why it's not a dinghy; it's a yacht. Basically, is what I've been told, and turning it takes some time, but it doesn't mean all the while Valve is still gobbling up your competition. I agree.
That's what I mean. Valve is not standing still. So we should wrap this all up now. Chat, is there anything that we didn't discuss? Because we can go over in like 2 minutes, but you got to be quick if there's something. But while they talk about that, I want to show you guys there are 309 people across all the channels that we're streaming this on.
Yes, there are.
I want to show people something. Now, no one has seen this.
Oh, let's see what you got.
We are. Hang on. Okay. So I am getting ready to relaunch the Everborn, the official Everborn store, the Everborn website.
Nice.
And this is the design for the new store. No one's seen this yet. This is not live.
Very cool, bro. Looks really nice. Yeah.
So this is we're launching the Everborn, the official Everborn store 2.0 sometime in the next 7 days. I'm just working out. We're gonna streamline some of the designs. We're gonna get rid of some of the stuff that people weren't using, add some new, more fashion forward designs. There's gonna be some new sales going on. This is all in the lead up to the Kickstarter. But if you go to everbornsaga.com right now, you're not going to see this. This is what I'm building right now. But yeah, I just wanted to show it. You know, this is the family here. They're watching the show, so I wanted to show people the thing.
Yep.
But yeah, while you're there, gear, there's book bags, there's walled art, like framed wall art. Like you see one of them behind me. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, this is the new store. This is the new buying experience, and you'll also be able to get
the store. Go ahead.
You'll also be able to get some GCP stuff here if K will send me the files.
K will send you the files. You should
I'm just saying we have the Charge Them More shirt here.
Yeah,
we got the CEG shirt here, so we got to get some GCP stuff here.
I will give you access to the folder, and you have access to all them files, sir. No worries. That's not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
And now, while you're sharing that, why don't you please share your Kickstarter campaign page and show people where they can hit the button so that they can be following and watching.
You know what? Because we're all family here, you guys aren't going to tell anybody. You want to see what the campaign looks like? You want to see some pages?
Please.
From the. All right, here we
go. We have a minute to go.
We got a minute to go. All right.
That's right.
Look at this.
Now zoom in a little bit so people can see it for real. There you go. That's it.
Here's some artwork from the book itself. This is what I'm saying. We leveled up everything here.
And by the way, if you have not had an opportunity to catch up on the story, you may want to do that so you're ready for that Kickstarter campaign. I'm actually rereading the story when I get back because I have them in comic. I have the last Kickstarter. I gotta reread those.
Here's another announcement. When the campaign goes live, this is Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2. We are giving away free digital copies. You don't even have to support the campaign, because we believe that much in the story. So when the campaign goes live, you'll be able to get a free PDF of Chapter 1, so you're not coming into the story blind.
Nice.
But this is what we're
last campaign. You had certain perks and tiers that were getting folks into the story? Are you gonna have similarly some interesting things like that this time?
Yes, we are. So we
Okay.
actually make you can be a character in the saga. So
Mm-hmm.
we do an immortal tier that allows us to make you a character in the story. You see this guy? This is a guy, this is D-Mac, and this
Mm-hmm.
is Kan Mari. They're main players in this chapter, and they were supporters of the first Kickstarter. They sent me their picture. We put
Nice.
their likeness in it, and you get to be immortalized. And we don't just do a walk-on roll. You get powers and stuff. So this is the thing that we'll do. But again, I'm gonna put the link in the chat again,
Please
so that
do.
you guys can just sign up to be
Hit the
notified. Now,
button. Sign
one
up.
more thing.
Yep.
This
Mm-hmm.
is the new hardcover, right? That
Okay. Yep.
we're doing a print run on. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to understand the quality level that we're dealing with. Right? And in terms of like characters or whatever being added to the story, you guys might know him, Gamer MD from the community,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? He supported the Immortal tier. And there's another level where he got his own cover, and that's a one of one. But we made him a character, and he's going to show up later on in the series. But that's Gamer
Yep.
MD's character. So you can become a character in the you can become a character in the story. And I just wanted to show people that'll be a tier. It's the Immortal tier. And so just check it out. Please do me that favor. I hate to
If
be
nothing
annoying.
else,
Just sign up to
just
be
sign up.
notified when
It's
we
not
go
going to
live.
cost you anything, and it helps the man and it helps the campaign reach its high heights. So, I think we're at the end of this show this week. I have to go say goodbye to my brother. I'll be driving to Rotterdam to go say goodbye to my brother, and then I'll be getting ready to be ready to get out of here early morning so I can catch my flight and head back. And Mr. Everborn Saga, sir, I know you're prepping. You're prepping for the campaign. When do we expect the campaign to be live, sir?
The
And where
campaign
else
is going
can we
live
see
on
your stuff?
It's going live on September 8th. It is running for 30 days.
Okay.
And if you are in the tri-state area, and you will be at New York Comic Con, if you support the campaign, where the book is launching immediately after the campaign, it's not a thing where you're gonna have to wait 3 months. So you'll be able to pick up your book signed from me at Comic Con if you're going, because we'll be at booth
Nice.
2039. So Kickstarter starts on September 8th, runs 30 days. We launch the book at New York Comic Con.
Very cool, bro. Very cool. Now, as for me, as you know, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of traveling, so I'm looking forward to going back and getting a little bit of normalcy under us. But yes, it has been a great show. We appreciate all the folks that have been here. I think our highest was 300 and some odd folks that jumped in. We appreciate all the great conversation on a Saturday morning where you are, or Saturday afternoon, or Saturday evening. It's been a great chat with you guys. If you haven't done so, please consider hitting the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Consider being a member. Half of my costs were defrayed from the members who have been part of our channel, folks that we really appreciate. We spend a lot more time in our Discord these days. We enjoy, talking all that, doing that TTS as it has been said in our Discord. So come join us there. You'll see the Discord information all posted when this show is on VOD. But I think that's it, man. I think we're at the end of it. We try to keep the show a little bit more concise. We're around 2.5, so I think we should call it. Unless you have anything else you wish to add there, Mr. Everborn.
No, the only thing I have to add is please sign up for the Kickstarter, and I want to get to 100 watchers before we go live. So we're at 29. This is just a call to action. Please
follow the man's recommendation. Hit that link in the chat. Go there, sign up to follow, just to follow. Doesn't even have to cost you a dime. You follow, it gives him some
helps with the
algorithmic support.
algorithm so that we get pushed to the top
Yep.
when it does
Yep.
go live. That's why we want to follow.
Yep. Absolutely. So you'll see us again next week. We'll have a lot of more gaming stuff for you. In between now and then, keep an eye on the channel. Keep an eye on the gamingcircle.com where we are live right now. Shout out to those who happen to watch from the gamingcircle.com. There will be a lot more Gamescom related content that I'll put out there. Some devs that we're talking about in the background that you'll see on future shows that are coming up. Some really interesting games that I got a chance to see that I'm looking forward to sharing with the audience at large. But until then, I think we're done. So yeah, that's it. I appreciate y'all for being here. And until next week, peace.
Nice to be in orbit.